Welcome everybody to a brand new European season for the Creventic promoted 24-hour series, which brings us back to kind of the spiritual home, certainly for the start of a new campaign. We've been to Mugello so many times, 12, maybe 13 times now, that the GT3 derived championship has been here. But together with that, we also have to look forward to qualifying for the TCE, the GT4, the GTX and the 992 categories as well. What the drone coverage that we're currently witnessing does not offer you, and hopefully you're enjoying our coverage in both sound and vision, and if not, then maybe you'll get a chance to visit the pictures a little bit later on in the day. The drone coverage doesn't tell you how much gradient change there is around this place, which pretty much begins at turn 1 San Donato. So there'll be 5 stops on this mini European tour, some for the first time, but Mugello, certainly that is not the case in the middle portion of March. Then in about a month's time, we head to the Spa-Francorchamps iconic Grand Prix circuit in the Ardennes Forest, followed by a trip to the south of France and the 12 hours of Paul Ricard. The new one is, amazingly, for a Dutch promoted championship, never actually been to the Nürburgring to hold a championship race before on the Grand Prix circuit. That's at the start of July, and then it will be completed by a full 24-hour race. Actually the only one of the main European segment of the campaign in its sort of traditional slot, September time at least, the 18th, 19th and 20th at the Circuit de Catalunya. So a fabulous various stopping points in 5 different countries as well to look forward to, all coming off the back of the 24 hours of Dubai in January. Air temperature actually quite deceiving. The sun is out, there's not a lot of cloud in the sky, but it's still only 8, nearly 9 degrees Celsius, and set to get chillier as we head through an evening's worth of qualifying. Delighted that you can be with us, though, and building up to what will be 12 hours of racing across the weekend. Not quite an even split either. I think there have been years previously where it's been 6 hours on the Saturday and 6 hours on the Sunday. This time it's 5.5 hours for day one, followed by obviously 6.5 hours to complete it on Sunday morning and afternoon. And thankfully it's not just my voice that you're going to hear droning on and on, because there's another drone to my right, not only one in the sky as well, but Joe Bradley is here. No, I'm being unkind.
That's a nice little link, that. A drone in the sky and a drone on and on next to you. Thanks, Johnny.
I thought I'll get the insults in nice and early, and then by the end of the weekend, we might be getting on.
It's a long weekend ahead of us.
True.
And some great racing. Well, there's another voice that no one's heard yet, certainly with regards to our qualifying session that's about to end. So let's head down to the pit lane where we've got the lovely Sarah to bring us all of the action from down there.
Welcome to the qualifying session. As Johnny and Joe have said, well, the cars are starting to get out into the pit lane, as you can see here. We're stood next to the 114 of Not Only Motorsport. Some familiar faces here from the back end of the Middle Eastern Series in Dubai, but also some new faces around as well. We're going to be bringing you all the action from qualifying over the next 30 minutes or so.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, we very much enjoyed your company in the Dubai event at the start of the year. And as you say, that was the third of actually 3 races, all called the Middle Eastern Championship. The start of that was actually in the Far East in Malaysia. For the first time, we visited the Sepang circuit for a 12-hour. And in fact, at the moment, the plan is not to go back to Sepang at the end of 2026, but instead to Qatar to complete that race for the first time. Obviously, things in that part of the world are a little bit iffy at this stage,
yeah,
though.
We're not due there until December. And I would
So,
hate to think that this political situation will be dragging on till then. But it's
as I think most of the world would actually. But yeah, I mean it's something to look forward to. And I think the thing about Malaysia is I hope it's just kind of been parked so that if we don't go in 2026, there is a potential to go back in the future, maybe in 27 or 28, because many drivers that did go to Malaysia for the first part of the Middle Eastern Trophy thoroughly enjoyed it. Then the middle section of that Middle Eastern Trophy was the 6 hours of Abu Dhabi, and you were there for that, Joe.
Yeah, great. That's become a brilliant sub-championship, isn't it? Crossing a calendar year, of course. The season that will be kicked off with Qatar is, of course, the 26-27 Middle East Trophy, and we're well ahead of the schedule, though, Johnny. We've got our European Championship that is kicking off right now with the very, very first competitive session of the European season about to unfold.
So we get to Sarah in just a tick. Just to tell you, this is a 15-minute session, but it's the first of 3 sessions for the TCE, GT4, GTX and 992 cars. And if you've got an AM driver in your combination, the AM has to go in this session. So this is considered generally an AM session unless your driver lineup doesn't include an AM, and then there's another decision to be made. But generally speaking, these will be the slowest cars. However, this is normally the session we see the most differential as well. So the AMs can be spread across a couple of seconds, lots of time therefore to be won and lost. But it'll take a bit of time for the times to come tumbling through, and that gives us plenty of scope to head back to Sarah.
Yes, down here with Maro and Amadeo from Dynamic Motorsport. Are you excited to get out on the track? You've driven Mugello a few times before. How was it earlier on in practice?
Yeah, it was quite good. We found a nice setup for the race pace. And now we will see in qualifying.
Well, this is the first time out for the European Series for 2026. What a circuit to start on.
Sorry, again?
Noisy down here in the pit lane. I said, what a circuit to start this European Series here at.
Yeah, it's a pretty good circuit to start, yeah, actually. Mugello, you mean this, right?
Your beautiful background behind us. Tell us more about the car you're driving today and who's out in the car currently.
Right now, Roberto Pampanini is driving. We drive with the Maserati and we feel pretty good, actually, with this car right now, so we're curious what this qualifying is bringing to us.
So qualifying is split into 3. Maro, will you be taking the final stint?
Yeah, exactly.
And what sort of times are you hoping you can get based on practice earlier on today?
Well, we will see. I think you have to find a nice lap, and then maybe 148, 149, we will see.
Well, let's see. Let's jump in and see what's happening so far on the first few outlaps.
Thanks, Sarah. More to come from you in just a tick. Well, as I say, we'll allow the times to come through because these early laps are of value, but at the same time, you don't want to overcook your tyres because we're back to the old rule set now, whereas in the Middle Eastern Trophy, it was a new set of tyres. You had to change tyres one session to the next, whereas in the European season, it's one set of tyres throughout. It's also one full fuel tank. You're not allowed to refuel the car between each of the sessions. So the cars are going to get lighter. However, their tyre performance is going to drop away, or at least that's the theory. And there's going to be a crossover point where the car is at its optimum weight, i.e. with next to no fuel in. But how much tyre life have you got left will be the big question. So the AM will be asked to go out there and post a decent time, but be mindful of the Michelin tyre life towards the end. I was just explaining, Joe, I know you were just doing other things for a tick, but there was a Middle Eastern Trophy rule which saw cars having their tyres changed, a mandatory requirement session to session, whereas I'm pretty sure the regulations for the European are like the old rule. The Vortex.
Vortex off into
the road.
Gravel, very, very buried very deeply. Was that turn 1?
Yes.
Was that San Donato that we saw that car? Philippe Brunel at the wheel of the 701 Vortex, and the car looking like it's not damaged in any way. He's kind of gone off on a tangent, under braking for the first turn. So whether that's an imbalance in the brakes, we're going to get another look at that. If you're watching the stream, the car gets on the brakes and then just swaps end and sleuths to the left, which is kind of what you expect them not to do. It should be sleuthing, sort of oversteering to the right. It oversteered to the left and went into the gravel, stayed off the barrier, which is good news for the Vortex. It has brought out the red flag, however. So we are going to call, and the clock has stopped significantly at the 10-minute mark, 10 minutes and 10 seconds to be exact. So we're going to have that Vortex recovered, and hopefully it was maybe, and again, pure speculation on my part. It was purely looking like an imbalance in the brakes there, because he went on the brakes. Philippe Bonnell at the wheel, remember. Philippe went on the brakes and the car sleuthed to the left immediately, locking the rears up, I would think. So whether or not he's been playing around with the brake balance coming down the straight and just didn't quite get the setting he was requiring and caught him out, hopefully that car will be recovered back to the pits. It's going to be recovered out of the gravel and out of harm's way. It may lose the rest of this session, however. The recovery teams here at Mugello, and pretty much all of the recovery teams throughout the 24H series and across the season, they will endeavour to get the car back to the pit lane as quickly as possible, but that all depends on where you are. It all depends on access roads, and if that car is then recovered onto the back of a truck that then has to find its way to the back of the paddock and then into the pit lane, that could take more than 10 minutes or so, which is all the time we have left. So we'll leave that speculation in the air. The red flag is out. The cars that were out on track are making their way back. I think we've got Sarah down in the pit lane with something. Let's head down. Sarah, is that you I can hear shouting up?
Trying to hunt down some drivers, see if we can grab a chat to them. Some of the cars have started coming in. Stood here next to the 928. I'll try and grab a chat with them. I was just saying I'm trying to find someone, and then I will be back with you.
How is your French?
Oh, not very good. Worse than my Italian, to be honest.
The Vortex team might have been able to, I mean, I don't, very little information probably, unless the Philippe has been able to communicate on the radio. But again, I found from my experience, you need to be a French-speaking person to, or else it's sign language, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, you know.
A quick chat. I know I've caught you off guard here, but it's been a while since I saw you in Dubai, I guess, well, 2 months ago, not too long ago. What have you been up to since then?
Just relaxing time. No, just getting ready for, it's been bits and bobs, but yeah, back in the car, did a test day in the 992 Cup car after Dubai, just to see what it was like. Unfortunately, there's no GT4 cars here, so we've made the step up to the 992 Cup car, yeah.
Very cool. And we're here at Mugello. Also, I've been told in my ear to introduce you as Reese Lloyd, because not everyone knows you as Reese. So, yep, I'm with Reese Lloyd.
And the team have kindly called me Lloyds for the weekend, like the bank, not Lloyd. So I've got an extra S to my name for the weekend. So, yeah.
Well, talking about the team that you're joining here, slightly different to Dubai. Tell us more about your role in the car.
Yeah, it's exciting. I've been always excited about the 992 Cup. It was watching at Dubai. It's the most competitive class in the series at the moment, I would say. And I always love being part of something that's really competitive. The guys of the team do an amazing job. They won at Dubai and over the winter, so it made logical sense for us to come and have a go, really.
And final few words, I mean, it's a beautiful day out here. The sun is out, a little bit nippy, but what's it like being back at Mugello?
Oh, it's amazing. It's such an amazing place. I mean, where in March, where would you rather be? I mean, the circuit, it's like an old school circuit. You don't build circuits, I guess, anymore, and it's such a special place.
Feels like there's a lot of culture still hanging around. It's great to absorb it all. Well, Reese Lloyd, racing with Seb Lejeune, will be looking out for you later on in qualifying.
Thank you, Sarah. Great to have a chat with Reese there, and a welcome addition to the European season. We saw him out in Dubai for the Middle East Trophy, and we hope to see him, whatever class he might choose to get back involved with, whether it's GT4 or the 992 Porsche Cup class. The good news is we've got the number 701 back on track. Well, he's off track at the moment, trying to get rid of all that gravel he's picked up, and a bit of heads-up driving there. You see the gravel beginning to spew out of the side pods in the rear of the car. He was off track, jiggling the car around, trying to get rid of the gravel that's on there. I always had a policy, if a car had gone into the gravel, I would want it back in the pit lane to make sure there wasn't any gravel where it shouldn't be, which could cause you perhaps problems in the past. We're just going to have another look at at what happened with the car going into turn one on what was probably going to be its first quick lap, just optimizing the tire pressures there, going into lap 3, and then the car looking like it had an imbalance in the braking area. And that spewed the car off and into the gravel, Johnny.
I agree, but he'd been braking for a little while, and it was fine for a good few meters, maybe 50 meters, and then all of a sudden the car just slowly went to the left. And I mean, I'm not sure whether taking his foot off the brake and then reapplying was necessarily going to solve that. But normally, if it's a brake imbalance, it strikes as soon as you hit that pedal. But the nose of the car was down and the car was dead straight, and then at the last minute it kinks to the left. So it's even more puzzling than we'd given it credit for in the early looking at that. And I just wonder whether the team are somewhat perplexed, as well as Philippe Bonnell, who was driving the Vortex, which is always a fan favourite, number 701. They're here with just the one car this weekend. So in the GTX category, a very smart-looking Maserati MC20 GT2 car, and the dynamic motorsport car for Roberto Pampanini and Maro Calamia and Amadeo Pampanini is definitely one for Sarah to seek out throughout the 12 hours, and I'd be interested to see how they get on up against the more longer-standing GTX entrant in a Vortex V8. Sadly, though, the session is going to have to be resumed without that Vortex in it. Question is, because they were the cause of the red flag, I think the rules are slightly less draconian compared to where they may be elsewhere, and therefore, if the car is fit to rejoin, it might well be permitted to do so, because the Vortex, ideally, is going to have to post 3 times. And did the 701, Joe, have its moment before it had a chance to post the time? Actually, no, there is a time there because it's up in second position.
Yeah, it did get a chance. It was about to embark on its 3rd flying lap. So 2 laps in the bag. It's currently leading GTX. There's only 2 cars in the GTX class, but it's second overall. The only car ahead of it is the 920, which is the 992 class of the Chazelle Technologie Corsa team. Jean-Marie Leandri at the wheel of that car, currently fastest in session, fastest in 992 class. Remember, though, Johnny, we've got 3 classes out there, or 4? 4 classes out there at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And GTX, with a time of 1:54.067, Philippe had just put in that car's quickest lap. And undoubtedly, he was thinking he was going to go even faster because he left these braking right until the very end. Let's head back down to the pits, though, for Sarah.
Philippe just jumped out of the car, a bit of a spin there. Tell us what happened. You were doing incredibly well, leading the class. Tell us what happened there.
I don't know exactly yet, but I think I have some problem with the front brake, with probably the right one. I don't know yet. We will work on it.
You can see the team pulling out all the gravel down here. Any idea yet? Was it the brake balance?
Yeah, probably something like that. I don't know yet. We are working on it. Something sure that that's come from the front brake and probably the right one. That's all that I know for the moment.
Well, you put in a good time, albeit just 2 cars in the class. You are leading. You've got the leading time currently for the GTX. Do you think the car will be ready? I guess you're still ready for Q2.
Don't worry for that. We still always on with those Vortex. So don't worry, we will be back.
You'll be back. Well, thank you so much, Philippe.
Vortex never, ever, ever give in.
No, that is
nothing
true.
What that team has seen.
But I think the car was already slowing, the nose had dropped, so that all was good, and then at the last possible minute the car just spins on him, and I can understand why he couldn't do a lot about that, because by the time he realised he was heading for the barrier, the car had already rotated. But I do understand. I mean, they're not going to be in a great hurry to get that car out in qualifying 2. I'm not saying we won't see it in Q2, but if it sits out the first 5 minutes of the 15 minutes, that's because they're still trying to get to the bottom of the problem, because they also want to make sure the car is safe. Yeah. And if something's broken on it, the last thing you want to do is fling another driver out, and it does exactly the same thing.
And on the subject of safety, Johnny, that was why I used to prefer to get the car back to the pits and get all the bodywork off to see where that gravel had gone. Yeah. All it needs is a stone, one of the smaller stones from that gravel trap to get into a brake caliper, and you've got a similar problem to what we've just seen with a bit of a brake imbalance because of that. So yeah, you need to get all of those alien bodies out of that car as best you can, and then crack on. And remember, it's 3 15-minute sessions with a different driver, which the lap time that we will consider to be its qualifying time will be an aggregate of those 3 times. So he's put in a representative time of a 1:54, and to be honest, that'll do.
Yeah,
for
totally.
For what will effectively be a class pole.
But for it to be considered an absolute aggregate, if you like, the best possible aggregate, you have to have posted a time in each of the 3 sessions. If you only manage to get out in 2, i.e. qualifying 1, and then in their case qualifying 3, you'll start mid-pack, even if your time's better than everybody else, because you haven't done the middle session. But to be honest, because GTX has only 2 cars anyway, how much value does qualifying actually have versus putting the car in the session when the car's not entirely right, potentially not entirely safe? They'll want to make sure that it's absolutely straight and is behaving before they'll even consider putting that car out in qualifying 2. But yeah, it's a good case scenario at this stage because the cars appeared to be fast before its rather errant moment. By the way, did Red Camel just have a little bit of a...
I thought...
an off?
No, I don't think it was. Fabian Dance at the wheel of the number 909, which is currently in... Where am I? I've lost it. 4th in 992. Fabian backed off. And I think he was backing off to find himself some space in traffic.
Okay.
We're inside of the last 5 minutes of this 15-minute session.
I'm just enjoying this Maserati at the moment. The GT2 MC20.
Yeah.
This car wasn't in Dubai, I don't think. I know you weren't covering that event, but I would remember that this Maserati was there, I'm sure. 767, loving the paint scheme on this, the gold and the black, which is an instant winner.
And it's already snatched the GTX. Quickest time from the Vortex after that issue, which we thought.
Not really a surprise. Also, I wanted to clear up the regulation regarding tyres and fuel fill in these qualifying sessions, and my memory was not deceiving me in that it's 1 set of tyres for all 3 sessions. So you bolt wheels on and then you're not allowed to remove them until the end of qualifying 3. Which is a change from the Middle East Trophy.
It is that we were caught out. Nick and I were caught out doing the pit lane in Abu Dhabi. Well, Nick was in the booth actually, doing the pit lane in Abu Dhabi. I was completely caught out in qualifying. It was like, who changed that regulation? But we're back to what we've become accustomed to in the 24H series.
Yeah, which is wheels may not be removed during or between any of the qualifying sessions, and for the refueling, it is not allowed to refuel during the entire duration of qualifying, including the interval between sessions.
Which exacerbates, Johnny, the strategy and the whole concept of this qualifying session, where you're only allowed to run your AM driver at the beginning of the session.
Yeah.
Where he's got the primary tyre, brand new tyres, but a full tank of fuel. When you get your hot shot in, your gold, silver, platinum, whatever your fastest driver is at the end in the 3rd, he's got a set of 1 tyres, but he's got a lighter car.
Yeah.
So effectively, the talent should come through to be able to optimise on a set of relatively 1 tyres.
So essentially, if you're in for Q2, you might have the best of both worlds, as in a sort of halfway house filled car, depending on how much fuel you put in. Now, what I don't know is, does the regulation say the car's got to be full of fuel at the start of qualifying 1? Any car already in the queue for refueling is allowed to refuel. Yeah, fine. For qualifying 1, I've
never interpreted it as that. I've always interpreted it as it's obviously
just
got to
can't put fuel in
enough fuel to do 3.
Yeah.
Whether you do 15-minute runs or whether you send your driver out for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously, we lost time under a red flag. However, we didn't lose time because the clock had stopped. So you're still going to have to run for 15 minutes. So you've got effectively 45 minutes plus a little bit more of fuel on board in those cars.
Yeah.
Or you send your drivers out knowing full well that you're only going to do 10 minutes because you've only fueled it for 30 minutes, or 10 minutes per driver.
That's I'm thinking that through. That's a very difficult rule to police anyway, isn't it? How much fuel is in your car at the start of qualifying? It's like asking a competitor how much fuel is in your car at the start of a race as well. It sort of doesn't matter as long as you don't refuel between the sessions, and that's much easier to look after from a regulation point of view. And
plus, you're not going to overfill it, because then you carry an excess weight in qualifying spec. And weight is mass. You're accelerating it and you're braking it, and it's going to slow you down. That's why the AM driver is on the best tyres with the heaviest car. And
But also the more professional teams might want to run it very close to the line indeed, to say to your pro driver for the final session, we'll give you 2, maybe 3 laps where the fuel's there, and then once that's gone, the car's going to run out of fuel if you last for too much longer. And there will be a very small window where the tyre life is okay, but these tyres are designed to be good across an endurance stint, so across an hour really, and the peak performance is probably going to go within this session, let alone Q3.
Yeah, that's why the regulation is that we have the AM driver. I can assure you, Johnny, that teams like Mugello Motorsport, QMMF, which are underneath that sticker, is HRT, of course, Dynamic, Red Camel, Sebelju. I'm naming Porsche teams here. They'll all be refining their setup with regards to a qualifying run, and for that it's logic that you're not going to carry any excess weight towards the end of the session.
Now, when did Conrad Levaux set the Mugello Motorsport time in number 921?
He's just set it, Johnny.
Just crossed the line.
Literally just set that.
To snatch time. Pole position away from Abdullah Ali Khalifa in the QMMF by HRT Performance crew, QMMF from Qatar. And what is the difference between those two times as the number 924 car of Abdullah Ali Al Khalifa crosses the line now? It's not going to be an improvement. So it does look like, even though that time was set very, very late in the piece, the absolute best in the session is a 151.9, 0.3 of a second quicker than the fellow competitor in 992. A 921 steals the headlines at the end of qualifying 1. That's obviously not pole position, class pole position yet, but it's going a good way towards it. And clearly, Conrad Levaux had been working up towards that, despite my suggestion that the tyre life is going to drop off by the end of this session. Well, it's a good start. Conrad's gone against that rule.
It's an absolutely great start, isn't it? And that's exactly where you want to be. All right, it's going to average itself out, and we get an average of the 3 15-minute qualifying segments with 3 different drivers. And I'm a big fan of this idea, this regulation with regards to how we qualify in the 24-8 series, because of the contribution that you have as a driver, and especially to the AM drivers here, who, remember, this is not their day job. They have proper lives, proper jobs. Racing drivers, you haven't got a proper job. Don't give me any of that. If you're a professional racing driver, you haven't got a proper job at all. You're living the dream. But yeah, I mean, this is their downtime. This is their leisure time. So to have a contribution from any AM driver is just mega. It's gonna make them feel part of that team even more so than they perhaps already are. It's a great idea, and it certainly mixes the grids up for us.
Yeah, because this fabulous combination of, I suppose, financing the drive initially, and that comes from the businessmen and women who have found a bit of cash through their very successful business lives and have always wanted to go motor racing, but might only find it in their 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe 70s. So they come with the funds to be able to pay a race team to prepare a car for them, but you'll want some hot shoes in there as well, the like of which we're going to see during qualifying 2 and qualifying 3. But that is the AM session, if you've got an AM in your lineup, now done. And it's promising certainly a dogfight in 992. When was it otherwise, you might like to suggest, between Mugello Motorsport, who are the old stays from Belgium, just up the road from Spa-Francorchamps, then the Middle Eastern contingent from Qatar, and the QMMF by HRT Performance team, with Abdullah Ali Al Khalifa doing a cracking job there and very nearly getting pole position, in fact, with the 974 car. He must be very disappointed, gutted, in fact, to have just missed out on that. But fair play to Conrad Levaux, who was getting closer and closer and eventually stuck the time in just when it mattered.
But it's a solid start, Johnny, and to finish second in that first qualifying session. Abdullah has done the job that he set out to do, and that's put in his quickest lap time, which is thankfully for that team and car, that's second quickest. And we've still got a full 30 minutes of qualifying, another 15 minutes coming up soon, followed by another 15 minutes, different drivers contributing to that average lap time. And that is, you know, mission accomplished, I would say, for Abdullah Ali Al Khalifi. Great job by him.
And we will round up the rest of the times in just a second. So 9 entries from the 992 class, and a combination of non-AMs and AMs. Many of them actually have the AM suffix, but if they're not in AM, then they're generally considered a Pro-Am team. Then we have the 2 from GTX, and for much of that session, sadly, it was only the 1 car from GTX because of the spin for the Vortex 2.0 for Philippe Bonnel, and hopefully the repair work is going well at Vortex, which will see them out in the next session, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. And then the 2 TCE cars, one the Ligier JSP4 for Not Only Motorsport, that's the team name, Not Only Motorsport, and Asbest Racing with their sturdy, their venerable Seat Leon Cup Racer, car number 102. And the 2 TCEs, the 1 GTX are ready to go, and the 992 class set to burst onto its second session in just a sec as well. But let's head to Sarah before that. Some news from currently, Sarah, the second fastest team.
I'm with Abdullah. Well, congratulations. First of all, Eid Mubarak, and congratulations for getting out here. Very, very tough time for all of us out in the Middle East at the moment. But an incredible circuit to start the European Series. What does it mean to QMMF to be out here? And also, you're currently sitting in second, just got pipped at the last few minutes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I ran into some traffic in my last push lap. It wasn't easy, especially with the red flag in the beginning of the session. But I'm happy, considering that this is the first time for the team to be in this circuit. It's a beautiful circuit, really technical. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here and representing the country.
Anything that's caught you by surprise in terms of the circuit?
I would say the elevation changes. We tried it on the sim, but you never get the true effect. Here you can really, it feels almost like Spa in terms of elevation changes, which is really amazing.
And who just jumped in the car for Q2?
Now it's Ahmed Al-Imadi. He's pretty quick as well, so I'm hoping for top 3, top 5 at least finishes for him.
So you haven't got confidence that you can go and take that pole position?
Let's see. We are running all AM drivers, no pro in the car. So, and honestly, quali doesn't really affect endurance races that much. So we are looking for the maximum, let's say, or fastest stint overall in the endurance race. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be watching out for the rest of the qualifying sessions.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for that interview, Sarah. Abdullah giving you a little secret there, Johnny. That's what did he say there? That qualifying isn't really that important.
We hear that a lot.
It is, though, because we need to have bragging rights, don't we?
Yes.
We want to be the quickest car. We want to have those pole interviews. We want to get on that front row of the grid. And we want to have, and if you're not on one of the fastest classes, GT's coming up a little bit later on this afternoon, of course. You do want to be the fastest car in your class. There's this sort of, bragging rights, how we say. A little bit of controversy there as cars came out of the pits. The 909 not being very patient. Luke Breukers, the driver of 909, being slowed down somewhat by our Seat Leon Cup racer of Asbest Racing. Rafael Giras having to get out of the way. I'm not sure how the stewards will view that. Hopefully they'll just get them by with a slapped wrist of not adhering to the protocol. But clearly, Luke wanted to get on with this.
Clearly, Luke wanted to get on with it. And I don't think, once you cross the speed limit line at the end of the pit lane, I don't think there's anything to say you can't overtake. In the blend section, that's where the pit lane rejoins the track. The problem for the Seat driver, who you said was...
Rafael Giras.
Yeah, in 102, is that he was almost pressurised to steer a little bit left and therefore cross the blend line, which is a big no-no. But I know that he was well aware of the Porsche looming large in the mirrors and sort of was ghosted towards that area.
Great news. The
Vortex is moving.
Yeah,
yes.
The Vortex is moving again. Hopefully they've rectified or found, at least, analysed and diagnosed what caused Philippe Brunel to spear off going into San Donato, the first turn here at Mugello. We'll keep a wary eye on the progress of the Vortex. Second in GTX, only 2 cars running here in the 12 hours of Mugello in the GTX class. That's not to detract from the pleasure that the Vortex team have and the pleasure and the challenge of getting that car to the finish of our long distance endurance racing series. And the 701 just easing his way around. He's will be invariably just being delicate on that middle pedal there, the brake pedal just being used delicately to see if there is any imbalance of the from the brakes. The team have had a good chunk of time to look at it, so I'm pretty sure they'll be happy with sending that car back out. So Luc Breukers in the 909, he has continued in this hurried fashion. They've already put in. Has Luke already put a time in? He has, but that was his out lap. This is his first flying lap of the session. We'll get an idea of just where they are on average as well, which is forming the grid up as we get into this second session.
In the meantime, as we enjoyed, by the way, the 909 red camel car from the drone footage over the Biondetti chicane, let's get back to Sarah. What do you know about Vortex and its hopefully solved problems now?
Well, I popped in the garage as we saw it heading back out. They said they're still a little bit unsure, possibly driver error, but little, you know, bit hard to say that, but that's what they're telling me. And they're going to have a look and see 2 laps and see if it's performing okay and showing no more issues. So potentially not a brake imbalance.
I hope not, because it must be quite a daunting concept of coming over the brow here, where we see Luc Breukers going into the first turn here at San Donato and going for that brake pedal, and you are pretty much maximising your braking from top speed as fast as the car can go. It's a 1.1 kilometre straight here at Mugello. So when you go from that throttle pedal onto the brake pedal, you expect the car to start slowing down. I'm pretty sure there'll be a bit of a taking your time kind of attitude from Olivia Gomez, who is now at the wheel of the 701. As we continue, second place car there, the car that is now driven by Hamad Al Emadi, the QMMF by HRT car, number 974, running around, being demoted down the order until it starts putting in some representative times. Luc Breukers using all of the track and more at Arrabbiata, comes up and over the brow and kicking up the dust there on the exit and into Scarperia and Pelagio, through the left-hander Pelagio, down the short burst of a straight here and into the hairpin at Correntao. That's how you say that, isn't it, Johnny?
Correntao.
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 Yeah. Well, he's through Correntao and now on towards the flat-out S. There's no really, you just stay flat on the throttle there through the left and the right of Bolandetti, and then this Puccini, the all-important final corner here at Mugello. It's Luc Breukers heading towards the timing beam now, and let's see where Luke will pop in with that time. He's gone a personal best there. No, he's flicked off. 1 minute 50.608. That's the fastest time of the session. He remains in third place in 992. So that is on target to continue. So third place in the 992 class for the Red Camel car. Ahead of it is the Sebelju Racing, Sebastien Lejoux at the wheel of the Treble 8, and with a 49.855 as a best time so far, giving that car an average of a 51.7. We're after an average of a 51.1 from the Mugello car, Paul Meyer, who is a massively quick driver now at the wheel of the 921, and that is the car that's currently leading the 992 class.
I'm suddenly drawn to Jean-Paul Domenici's lines. You know, you were saying this is, quite rightly, this is a bike track, basically, and we're going car racing on a famous bike track this weekend, but consequently the curbs don't have much height to them at all, and Jean-Paul Domenici just absolutely whacked over the curb at the second the second chicane in the first sector, which I'm going to remind myself is Maserati. So all of the curb at Maserati, and then Borgo San Lorenzo, he was slightly more or slightly better behaved in the curbing there, but an indication that you can get all four wheels over the curbing and not really lose yourself too much time. I think also you'll probably get away with that in terms of track limits as well, because they're more bothered about track limits from the official point of view on the exit of corners where you can gain the most amount of time. So fair play to Domenici there, who was taking no prisoners in the latter part of Sector 1. And Domenici drives the number 920 car, which is the all-white entry from Chazelle Technologie course. So one of a number of 992 Porsches, and that again is an all-AM lineup. At least it was planned to be initially. There have been some changes from the initial spotter's guide that was released, but Jean-Paul Domenici joined by Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony Debarne for this weekend. There was a late change actually that didn't see Abdullah Ali Al-Khalifi in the 974 car, because he's not on the spotters list, but I think that's because there's no Jassim Al-Thani this weekend, if they are electing to do this race with 3 drivers. On the other hand, Jassim might be here, and Abdullah's just an extra entry. I will check that. Well, there is now an official entry list that has been released on the Creventic app, which is, by the way, available to all. Again, that's a sort of change in the marketing for the championship itself, because that used to be known as the 24H Series app, and it's now called the Creventic app. So Creventic and its name are much more front and centre moving into 2026, and it is indeed a 3-driver lineup in the QMF racing car. To Luke Breukers now with Sarah.
At Mugello, you excited to be back? How's the track feeling?
Well, the track is great. Really enjoying it this weekend. The sun's out, the tarmac is a bit cooler, so it's sometimes difficult finding the grip at the beginning of the stint. But it's really competitive out there and very fun.
And you decided to come in before the end of the session. What was the decision around that?
Well, I think I was kind of at my limit at the lap. I want to save some tires for tomorrow, and it's a long race, so I figured just 2 bucks and call it a day for today.
I've just seen you put some new tires on. Who's jumping in the car next?
Next is my brother, Rick, so let's see what he will get out of the car.
Well, good luck, and we'll look out for you later on today.
Thank you.
Now then, I just want to interrogate that, Sarah. Did you see new tyres going on that car? Because as we've been saying well, for our coverage, and we might be wrong on this, I didn't think you were allowed to change tyres for the European season. In the Middle East, it was fine, but it's my understanding you've got to keep the same set of tyres on from the start of Q1 all the way to the end of Q3.
Well, they've disappeared.
So they've taken tyres off it?
Yeah, there's tyres come off the car. Let me go and clarify with them and come back to you in a moment. There is a new one sitting next to me right here, as if it's ready to go on. Let me go and find out.
Check the tyres that are as the car left now, Sarah.
No, the car's still here.
Right, check the tyres and see if they're warm,
There's
would you?
none on them.
There's no tyres on the car?
It's on the car currently.
Right, okay.
Let me go and find out. But the tyres that were on the car that Luke was driving with have been taken away.
Right. So we see. Yes.
Let me go and delve. They're looking at one of the tyres with some interest. Let me go and see what's going on.
All right.
We had the regulations in front of us, didn't we?
Well, they are the sporting regulations for 2026, and as I say, there were supplementary regulations issued for the Middle East Trophy, which said that you must change tyres from one session to the other. However, I understood that we don't adopt those rules for the European part of the season, which begins this weekend in Mugello. And let me just go down to the qualifying part of the 2026 regulations to confirm what it says. And if it does say what I thought it had said, then what I'm now thinking is, are there another set of supplementary regulations that have since been released? Qualifying.
You mean supplementary regulations to the supplementary regulation?
I do, yeah.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Go on, Sarah.
Taking a look at the tyres in the garage, perhaps we can get our cameraman to show what they're up to. But they were saying Luke was feeling like the car was sliding out in the front, sliding sideways. So they're trying to work out what was causing that.
Okay.
So he had understeer from those front tyres. Is that what?
Well, they didn't say those words. The mechanic just said he was sliding.
So are they having to put that same set of tyres back on the car, and they've taken the tyre off to have a closer inspection of them? I suppose is the question we need answering, I suppose.
Well, I asked this question, and he said they can change per session. Is that correct, as per the regulations?
Well, I'm now frantically looking for another version of the regulations, which clearly...
I'll tell you what, I'm very
what
close to the technical garage. Let me go and ask in there.
Oh, you could ask Paul Truswell.
I could ask Paul, but he had his cans on, and he was not really paying me too much attention. So he's head into his data. Shall I pop into technical? And if not, I'll go back to Paul.
Yeah, go to technical, because with the greatest respect to Paul Truswell, I want to hear it from a neutral perspective rather than... Because Paul works for a team, so, you know, we don't know whether we're getting the facts. He might... I know it's unbelievable, but he might have it wrong.
With just under 2 minutes of this second qualifying session for 992, GTX and TCE, there are no GT4s out with us here in Mugello. So it is only the 3 classes that are qualifying. Paul Meyer has put in a very, very good lap time that has put that car at the top of the timing screens with an average of 51.159. Paul's time was in fact, I've got the last lap time up there. I don't want that. I want the best. So it's way across.
I might be getting somewhere here, Joe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There are some supplementary there are some. Let me just read you what I've got, Sarah, and then maybe you can tell us even more on top of that. Right. So there is a series bulletin, 2 sporting regulations, which was issued. Well, it's number 1 for season 2026, dated the 3rd of March, and this does not refer to the Middle East Trophy. So it's not a Middle East Trophy regulation. This is for the European Series, and notably, one line is now crossed out. It's in red and it's crossed out, and that's the line that says wheels may not be removed. So that's now line through it, forget it. And the next line says each qualifying session must be driven on a different set of slick tyres. However, only one set of slick tyres may be used in a single qualifying session. So they've actually U-turned, have the organisation.
That is exactly the regulation that we had in the Middle East.
Yeah, yeah.
And they must be used in the race, yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that's what Luke said. He's going to save some tyres for the race.
Well, that's another thing that I thought, hang on a minute, tyres in the race, right? Well, that was a Middle Eastern rule as well, in that you want to keep as much meat on them as possible through qualifying because you've got to use them again. But then I thought, well, that could still be a rule if you're using the same set all the way through 3 qualifying sessions, but you're going to have to go very gingerly on them indeed. But it has to be now a new set every single qualifying session. And the reason why I thought that was only a Middle Eastern rule was because of the excessive heat that we had in Malaysia and Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And now that we're in slightly cooler conditions, I thought the original plan was to go back to last year's rules, but they have been changed again. And there's another slight gear shift that is required in my mind to remember that moving forward this weekend. Apologies, folks, for the confusion. And Paul Truswell is able to chat to Sarah as well. Now, if you could ask Paul, this seems like quite a recent change. 3rd of March. Ask him if he knows why there's been this change to individual tyres for each session.
And take the tyres off, and we've seen the team having a good old look at some of the tyres. We've also checked with the regulation book that there's been a few changes. Can you tell us from your perspective what's going on with the tyres? Camera's over here.
So, yeah, I mean, in terms of the rules, we have a new set of tyres for every session, as you know. We felt that there might have been something wrong with a tyre that Fabian had in his session, and so we kept that tyre back, asked the Michelin man to come along. The support from Michelin's very good. They come along and they look at the tyres. We felt there was something wrong with the tyre. Michelin man's had a look at it. He doesn't know. He couldn't see anything from the outside. Luke was happy. So Luke was happy with his laps. As you may not know, but my view on qualifying is that it's a big distraction from the race. We've got a 12-hour race ahead of us. Whether we start on the pole or whether we start third or fourth on the grid, it doesn't really matter. So we go out, we do qualifying, we get excited, but at the end of the day, whether we start first or second or third, we're happy. But no, it's a slight worry that Fabian, as I say, he wasn't happy with the car. We thought it might have been a tyre. Michelin says it's not. Luke was happy with the car, so we need to look at it.
So what was Fabian feeling to say that he wasn't very happy with the car?
Yes. He actually said it felt like the front was disconnected. Okay, so there's a bit of a translation going from Swiss to Dutch to French, because Michelin come from France. But as I say, Luke didn't have a problem at all. So maybe it was just a Fabian thing.
And bragging rights, qualifying, you don't care?
No, not really. I mean, it's a great photo opportunity. It gives the team a big boost if we do qualify well. But as I say, certainly looking at that Mulner car, I mean, they've got 3 very, very quick drivers. We're a bunch of hobby drivers, really, whereas Mulner have got professional drivers driving, some very good Porsche Carrera Cup drivers. So I don't think we could really hold a candle to them. But as I say, ultimately, it's not about one-lap pace. It's about pace over a full stint.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. We couldn't have done the qualifying session without hearing from you. So thanks for giving us a little more of an insight into what's going on with the tyres. You've got a new set going on, and they all must be used in the race. I guess Luke saved that second set for you with a little bit of life left on them.
Well, he's changed his tune, hasn't he, since he stopped being a race commentator. It's all about the entertainment, and qualifying is all about being the quickest. But Paul, as he said there, not really strategically needing to start the race on the front row of the grid. So trust well in changing his tune. Shocker there. Looking already towards the start of the race tomorrow. Race start for the 24H series. The start grid lining up at 11:35. Is when we're live. The race starts at 10 minutes past 12, and the first segment for will go on till 5:40 p.m. and that will be the 5.5-hour stint that we will see tomorrow, followed by a 6.5-hour stint to finish off the 12-hour race on Sunday. So 5.5 hours tomorrow, and that's what already the team strategist at the Red Camel team already looking forward to getting involved in the race side of things. We're about to go green for this final 15 minutes of qualifying at the moment. Mulner Motorsport with 3 very, very quick drivers currently on the pole position. Their average lap time after 2 qualifying runs, the first run a 1:51.984, and then Paul Meyer with a 1:53.35, giving them an average of 1:51.159. Second overall is the first of our GTX runners, and any kind of motorsport fan, if you are, will be delighted to see a Maserati MC20, the GT2 spec car, running in GTX, being second overall and getting right in amongst all the 992 Cup runners with a 1:51.483 average. They went out with a 1:53.033 and then a 1:49.9, not the quickest car in the second session. A 1:49.819 was that of Sebelju Racing in the 888 car. It was Sebastien Lejeune who put in that time, and that, as far as I can see on my timing screen, was the fastest lap time of qualifying so far, a 49.819. So we've got this session well and truly underway.
The GT2 field did not see a Maserati, by the way, in Dubai. I was frantically racking my brains to think whether I've seen the Maserati MC20 in a Creventic race before. There was a Ginetta GT2 car in the Middle East as part of the GTX category, which was the Team CMR entry from France. So they had a Ginetta G56 GT2, but that was the only GT2 in this year's Dubai 24 hours. So welcome Maserati, and welcome the team that are running it as well, who are Dynamic Motorsport, a team that you may well know from, well, elsewhere in actually the GT3 competition, because Dynamic, who are Italian, so at their home race this weekend, no stranger to running Porsche 911s in the GT3 category. Let's get back to Sarah in the meantime.
In the Vortex, a little update. It was the ABS on the front wheels, and you should be able to see, I don't know if you have got the view, they're working on it inside the car. They will be getting ready for the race tomorrow, so they will not be going back out for qualifying.
There's the Maserati, just in its final segment of qualifying. Still plenty of time. Maro at the wheel of this car. What a beautiful looking example of this GT2 spec sports car that we're seeing. Now the question is, can that car be the quickest overall out of the three classes that are competing in this qualifying section? At the moment, it's second quickest overall. We've got the Mugello Motorsport Porsche in the 992 class. Martin Rumpnauer at the wheel of the 921. The Maserati currently second. We are looking to beat a 1:49.9, which is the quickest time from the second session. Maro, we know how quick Maro can be, so we expect to see that car optimized. Third place overall, second in 992, is Anthony Vince, now at the wheel of the Sebelju Racing number 888. That car going very well. Then we've got the red Camel car, who has not come out quite yet. Still plenty of time on the clock though. Just a minute away or so, a minute or so away from the 10-minute mark. And we wait to see when the 909 will get on with their final run. I would imagine it will be Rick Breukers at the wheel of the 909. He's the most experienced driver in that car. Former GTD Daytona 24-hour winner, GTD Sebring 12-hour winner, Sebring being this weekend, of course, over in the United States as part of the IMSA series. But right now we've got the Maserati starting on its quick lap. Now this is the hot lap we've been waiting for. Not using all of the track because you have to compromise that bit for this left and right. The left and right of Luco and Poggio Secco. Then using all of the track and more there, kicking up the dust from the gravel trap was Maro as he goes through the left and right, and then heading down the hill towards the very fast section of Casanova and Savelli, which then will take you into one of the most iconic parts of any racetrack, the Arrabbiata corners 1 and 2, the two left-hand sweeps. That the second one being a complete acceleration zone in a car like the Maserati, as we join the Krone Racing Porsche, the lime green car, the Krone green car as it's become affectionately known. As we see that car for RPM Racing, Philip Hamprecht at the wheel now. Car down the order, in fact it's at the bottom of the 992 field. Behind it, the Vortex, not starting this third and final session here. It has gone out. No, it hasn't. It hasn't put a time in at all. And the Maserati Maro just on its way around now into the final turn. This is the car's first flying lap in this third and final session here. As Calamea crosses the line, we will see this car jump up the order. And it does indeed jump up the order. It jumps all the way up the order and goes to the top of the screen. That was a 1:48.157. Mauro Calamea goes quickest overall in the GTX class entry for Dynamic Motorsports Maserati. And he looks like he's still on it, Johnny. Looks like he's still pushing hard as he continues on another flying lap, not as hard as he did, so I suspect he's maybe having a cool down lap. But look at that, the 001 fastest overall in this qualifying session.
Well, that's the invigorating thing about the rule change over the winter into this not only Middle East season but also the European season as well, in that you know that you can take a fair bit of life out of these tyres within your designated qualifying session, knowing that yes, you'll probably be partnered with these tyres in tomorrow or Sunday's race, combined race, remember, with 5.5 hours on day one, 6.5 hours on day two. But it's given Calamia and others out in this session a little bit more of a lease of life, a license to push harder. And the 34-year-old Swiss is certainly doing that. Very experienced in other categories around Europe and further afield around the world as well. So has competed in many Dubai 24 hours in the GT3 category. And as I say, Dynamic Motorsport are certainly no strangers to Creventic racing, but nearly always with their GT3 Porsche. So this is brand new for 2026 in terms of connecting with Creventic with this car. They did spend a year in 2025 racing in the GT2 European Championship though, and that surely was with the Maserati as well. I'm just going to check the entry list for that as to whether they were with this car for all of last season, but that would make sense. And it is a beautiful MC20 which is now in the Creventic paddock as well. And a few seconds ago, one of the Porsches, which is the Red Camel Porsche 909, way out wide coming out of Poggio Secco. We'd already had a big incident this morning in one of the Radical sessions which saw a car skate across the track and into the tyre barrier to driver's right. So an indication of what might happen if it goes wrong, but nevertheless full marks to the car control from, well, none other than Rick Breukers. So we'll enjoy the rest of this lap for Rick as we head back in the direction of Sarah Esser.
From Michelin Motorsport. I mean, incredible lap time, but you've just rushed off, got changed, and you're going to have an even quicker turnaround heading to Rome tonight for a team presentation, and then back here again tomorrow.
Yeah, it has been a few hectical days, let's say it like that. Rome was already planned. I have a team presentation for a different championship this year, and Milner called me just 36 hours ago if I wanted to drive here. So I said, oh, okay, I come. But that was already planned. So a few laps only in practice today, and just had qualifying. Lap was really good, I think. We had some problems in the free practice, so only 5 laps there. So after all, yeah, really happy with the result now.
And when you got out the car a moment ago at the end of the second qualifying session, it was on provisional pole. You've just been pipped by the Maserati, but you're still currently provisional for class.
Yeah, I think we will take class pole if it looks at the moment. So that's a good effort from the team, and also from all the drivers, of course. So. Yeah, happy to be back in the 24-hour series, of course. I did last year, the full season, full Middle East, so hope to be back for a lot of races this season.
And last couple of words on the track of Mugello. You're enjoying it today, beautifully sunny.
Yeah, it's amazing. I saw some images of, I think it was Thursday morning when it was completely wet. I like this more. The track is amazing. Racing in Italy is always good, so.
They got the rain out the way. Well, I guess you're staying for the final moments to see what happens, and then you're going to rush off to Rome, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Exactly. See you tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Paul.
Paul Meyer, then, who is racing with Michelin Motorsport this weekend, and they are the crew that a few elsewhere in the 992 paddock are thinking, yeah, they are the guys to beat, not only because of Meulener's name, based in Belgium, just up the road actually from the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, from Stavelot, who drive along the old track in the wrong direction. I think they're just down there on the left, so within a stone's throw of that fabulous venue that we're going to be visiting in about a month's time as round 2 of the 24H series this year. But has already pointed out to us their lineup, which includes Paul Meyer, Martin Rump, the Estonian, who is a semi-pro, or is he a pro? No, he's a semi-pro, and then Conrad Levaux, who is also a semi-pro. So that goes some way to explain why the Dane was so fast. He was in an AM session, but remember, Michelin Motorsport don't actually have an AM in their lineup, so Conrad Levaux was always going to be the cream of the crop in that, and it was a bit misrepresentative actually that Conrad was able to jump. Well, it was Abdullah Ali Al Khalifi, wasn't it? Last few throws of the dice, and to be honest, it wasn't really a fair fight. So credit to QMMF for virtually topping the, well, they did top the AM element of that first session. How long have we got left in this one?
We've got 3.5 minutes remaining, and we've got a couple of cars. In fact, the 2 cars that are at the top of the timing screens overall, The first car we've mentioned, the Maserati, that's the first of the GTX runners. That car is now pulled in the pits. Maro has pulled that car in, and that car's qualifying session over, completed, onto the race. The other car, significantly, is the Mulliner Motorsport car we've just been talking about. Martin Rump has brought the number 921 Porsche in, and that car currently fastest in 992, second overall in this session. Second in 992 is Rick Breukers. That lap time where he used all of the curb and more actually put him, that was the quickest time for that car, and has upped the average to just off 0.6 of a second average off the Mulliner car. Is that Sarah I can hear?
Mauro Calamia, she's got with her the fastest guy so far in Q2, Sarah.
I think that was the maximum you could get out of the car.
Well, it's difficult to say, but I think the first lap, it was very nice lap, very clean lap, no risks at all. So, yeah, the lap was good. Maybe something we have left, but for today it was enough, yeah.
Saving the tyres for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I think a couple more minutes have gone by since we spoke, so perhaps we might be celebrating pole any moment now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, a mini pole, if you like, because you have to combine the times from the previous session, this session, and the next as well. But yeah, once it all plays out, still might be good enough for an overall pole. I was wondering where the GTX cars might sit within this group of classes. When I call it an overall pole, obviously it wouldn't be, because we're expecting all the GT3 cars to be able to go collectively faster than these times. But when the grid is split into two separate qualifying chunks, then I suppose you could call it a semi-overall pole position.
It's going to be interesting to see just how high up the grid, and we do have some of the Porsche Cup cars in the 992 class do sort of latch onto the rear end of the GT3 grid. So it's going to be interesting to see how far up that GTX runner in the form of that Maserati will be on the overall grid. Its average lap time is a 150.374. Mauro Calamia's lap time was a 148.157. We haven't just made a mental note of that. I've actually written it down, Johnny. So I want to see how that compares to some of the GT3 runners, as we have got less than a minute now to conclude our qualifying process, our qualifying for GTX, TCE and 992. Now, the quickest TCE car in the TCX class is the Ligia GS2 of Not Only Motorsport. Alberto Antonucci at the wheel of the 114. He is 11th overall in this three-class qualifying session. The Ligia GS2, one of those small little sports cars that we see come out to play in the Creventic series. It would be great to have half a dozen of those cars. They are great little sports cars and very, very easy to run. Good customer support from the Ligia organisation. As Rick Breukers calls it a day. In fact, that's pretty much the whole field is in the pits now, Johnny. There's only Antonucci out there still.
And yeah, on a cool down lap now, has he seen the checkered flag? No, not quite. So we'll complete this lap in his Ligier, one of a couple of TCE entries, and also Thomas Alpiga of Switzerland in the Asbes Racing Seat. Remember that Seat in one of the sessions, was at the start of this one, it crossed the blend line, but under pressure at the time from Rick Breukers in the 909.
It was Luke Breukers who pushed him up.
Was it Luke that was hustling on?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So that was at the start of Q1 then.
Q2. Fabian Dance took the car at first. Luke Breukers was second. That's when we saw him come out, and Rick Breukers has just
because we're now in Q3.
Yeah,
of course.
Just finished it.
Yeah, for some reason my mind was telling me we were still at the tail end of Q2 because time is flying, Joe.
It is. It
when
absolutely
you are enjoying
is.
yourself.
Yeah, it is, and you know what? It's pretty cool to see a Maserati at the top of any timing screen. All right, it's not going to be at the top of the overall. We're expecting to see the GT3 cars who are coming out for their 3 segments of qualifying. Again, same format, 15 minutes, 3 separate drivers, 3 fresh sets of tyres. The only thing that remains is the fueling. The first driver out there will be in the heavier car than the third driver. However, it's all about class pole positions, certainly. And just look at that. Nice synergy for us for television. with the Maserati neighbours of the Milner Motorsport 992 pole position sitter as well. So both cars very nicely placed for Sarah to be a part of that photo opportunity that's going on there.
It. I'm
So
just behind.
Milner will take the snaps. And Sarah, sorry, right across you there.
I don't know if Sarah was...
I'm finding it very difficult to know
Sarah
whether
was in our
is.
ears.
Exactly, because we hear Sarah sometimes off air, sometimes on air. But I know that we've got to tell you about the order of the cars at the end of 3 qualifying sessions, and maybe a bit of a surprise to see a GTX car outgun the whole of the 992 field. But that is precisely what's happened with Maro Kellemia in the Dynamic Motorsport Maserati MC20 GT2, number 767, fastest, and by a decent chunk as well, 6/10 of a second closer to that, ahead of an excellent run for the 921 Milner Motorsport gang of Conrad Levaux, Martin Rump and Paul Meyer, and those were the 3 drivers gathering around the hood of that Porsche. Can you call it a hood on a rear-engine car? I just have, so accepted. Here's the 909 car in 3rd position for the Breukers family, plus Fabian Dance. Ivo Breukers not taking part in the qualifying, which has become the standard approach, actually, in recent meetings. Then the treble 8 car for Seb Lejeune Racing. And that's Anthony Vince, who completed things in the Triple 8 ahead of 974, the 3 Qatari drivers who, remember, were very well placed at the end of qualifying 1 after a terrific lap from Ali Al Khalifa in his first go here at Mugello. 6th position was the 928 Porsche. 7th position for the 920 ahead of 907, which is the Krohn Green racing car for Philip Hamprecht, Nick Johnson, and of course Tracy Krohn. 9th place for the 910 car for the Lajou family and others. Reece Lloyd in that car, who we caught up with not too long ago, and in 10th position the 911, which will be a continuation of this huge 992 field. And to complete the combined result then, after 3 15-minute qualifying sessions, 114 is the pole sitter in TCE. That is Not Only Motorsport with their Ligier ahead of the Vortex, which did come out in qualifying 3. We're still scratching our head whether it actually appeared in qualifying 2, and that's the reason why it's much further down in versus its GTX rival. So 12th position for that car, early spinner in Q1, and 13th place, Asbestos Racing's Seat Leon Cup racer. So one part of qualifying is now completed. Qualifying for the GT3s is just around the corner. But before we get to that, another word from Sarah Esser in the pit lane.
Down with Martin Rump. You've put the car on class pole for 992. Congratulations. I mean, it was in a good position for the second driver in second qualifying, but you went and closed it out.
Certainly, yeah, the car was really working well. Milner Motorsport has been doing a good job all weekend, and we actually had some testing time yesterday, so we pretty much had it down to a T. The first 2 drivers did a great job, so it was just my job to sort of get in and seal the deal.
And now all eyes on GT3 to see where you'll be sitting on the overall grid.
Yeah, definitely, and I think tomorrow is going to be a great race as well. Hopefully dry weather. We really like the sunshine here in Italy, so more of that, please.
Well, it's been a beautiful day. I think they got the rain out the way earlier in the week. Are you enjoying the track?
I'm definitely enjoying the track. Mugello is one of those old school proper tracks which I like. You can't really do track limits here too easily without touching some gravel, so this really keeps the adrenaline up, and for sure for a driver it's a tough one. You can't really rest either than the main straight, so it is a great opportunity being here, and yeah, just loving it.
Thank you so much, Martin. Congratulations to you and the team. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Mugello, the 12 hours, and qualifying being done on Friday, as is the tradition. 3 bouts of it for the combined session then that included the GTX category and the Vortex, that during qualifying 1 went very wayward indeed down at San Donato corner. Philippe Bonnel at the wheel and very much scratching his head as to precisely what happened. Anyway, we do know that Abdullah Al Khalifa had a really good lap to top the 992 class in the QMMF racing car. As far as the Young drivers were concerned, at least, I know Conrad Laveau had a terrific qualifying 1 session, but we must remember, is a semi-pro driver. Lots of different lines being used in the early part of qualifying 2 as tyre temperature was built. Rick Groykers exploring the Mugello scenery as well, way out in the gravel at Poggio Secco. But the eventual pole winner is the GTX entered Maserati MC20 GT2 car, a car that we did not see compete in Dubai. And whether the plan is to run it for all 5 European races, we will have to wait and see. But it has certainly started strongly. Now, the big question is whether it can continue that sort of consistent pace into a long race. 5.5 hours on Saturday, 6.5 hours on Sunday go together to create the 2026 12 hours of Mugello. And after a brief pause, the track is live again now and about to get very busy indeed, with all of the GT3 cars heading out together then.
This is where, Johnny, we're going to find our overall pole sitter, isn't it? These are the fastest cars in the 12 hours of Mugello, the GT3 spec cars. And if we were gambling sort of characters, I'm not sure where I'd put my money. I'm gonna make this a little bit interesting. I'm gonna make a punt here, Johnny. I'm gonna say the Sonderlock Junior team. Pierre Caffer, Elliot Earhart, Ernst. I can't see that already. It's too small. Isn't it? The number 18. Who's the third driver? We've got Stefan Tribu in the. I'm not sure who's down to drive the car. Let's see if we've got that car out already. The number 18. I'm
going to go Ernst Inderbitzin.
Right, that's why I couldn't see.
Interbitzin, which is a difficult name.
3 very quick drivers that can put a very, very strong average lap time in for that number 18. We've seen that car go very, very quick. However, it's got a lot of competition, hasn't it? The Get Speed Team PCX Racing Mercedes. That's got a very strong driver lineup. We look further down at one of the Audis. The Herberth cars, you can never discount those cars either. So where the pole position will go is anybody's bet here, and I'm not a betting man, so I haven't waged anything on it whatsoever. So let's see how it pans out. We're currently with the number 44, the Zdeno Michelin, the ARC Bratislava Lamborghini on home turf, isn't it? This is the Bologna area of Tuscany, the home of Lamborghini. If you come in via Bologna Airport, they've got a Lamborghini Huracan on display. Not this one. This one's being very readily used by the ARC Bratislava team. And this car just coming through now. Dino Nicolasco just about to embark on his first quickest lap as the rest of the field there coming through to start what will be their first of their flying laps. Number 73, Konstantin Dressler for Proton. That's one of the Porsches there, distinctive livery of the blue and orange of Proton competition here in the 24H series, and just bringing those tyres in nicely, just getting the heat into them gradually, not overworking the tyre, not having the sidewall of the tyre heat up before the actual carcass of the tyre. That creates a very, very unstable tyre pressure. And with the majority of cars now coming through and already starting, it's about 50-50 split as to the cars still on their outlap. That number 44 though, the RC Bratislava Lamborghini, very much on its way through the Arrabbiata corners. He's got traffic up ahead of him, and it's the Ajit Red Racing Ayrton Redon at the wheel of the number 93. He's kind of he's on his outlap as the Lamborghini there, the bright, it's backed off. So the Lamborghini looks like he saw the traffic ahead of him, Johnny, and he's backed right with it. So that, I don't know how good the lap was. We weren't following it for the complete lap, but the 44 has backed off, and he's going to have probably a bit of a run down to the final turn and then start again, basically, back to the drawing board.
It's useful to an extent because Zdeno Mikuláško will have he will have banked all of what he was learning for future. However, you're burning through your tyre life, and okay, it's not as bad as it was last year where you have to nurse one set of tyres through 3 sessions. But that's 2/3, maybe 3/4 of a lap now gone without any time really to say that you were pushing like crazy. Did he see some traffic ahead? I didn't actually catch much traffic after Correntaio and into Biondetti corner, but for whatever reason, like you say, just backed out of it. Maybe just to kind of give the tyres a breather, and now he's pushing hard again. But he had to be on it coming out of Bucine corner, because that's the thing, you can't afford to back off too much, because you've then got to be very much on the loud pedal coming out of turn 15, which then bleeds into the next lap.
Well, he had the Ajit Red-Hand car ahead of him, and he's pretty much, he saw that perhaps he was going to trip over that car, and instead of trying to get around the car, he chose to back off and perhaps save a little bit of life in the tyres and start again with a clear track, which he could see that there was a clear track ahead of him.
But he also doesn't want to run the risk of catching the same car on the next lap around. Now, it might be that the car in front actually backs off in turn and allows him through. But if you feel like you're catching a car and you think this is going to be a problem on my next push lap, better to actually give up the one you're on in favour of building a gap and then hope that isn't closed by the end of the very next lap, the 5 and a bit kilometres around here.
Jordan Boisson going very, very quickly indeed. That's the Get Speed Team PCX entry, car number 28. Lap time of a 1:47.719. Not as quick as the Proton competition of Konstantin Dressler, who we watched for a short while. 1:47.435. It really is the first of the optimum laps that we're seeing here. Cars just beginning to get their tyres where they want them, getting the car balanced. That's the quickest car at the moment. The Proton competition, the orange and blue car of Konstantin Dressler, looks like he's still on a hot lap as he continues to lap, so feels there's more time to come, and we're about a minute away from half distance in this 15-minute segment. So plenty of time, but whether or not you want to use, as he kicks up the dust there, using all of the track and more, it's whether or not you want to use up that 15 minutes or whether you feel that you want to save some of the tyre, the Michelin tyre that you have on, and keep some life, because this set of tyres that this car is on will have to be used in some time in the race. They've got to cycle through the tyres that they've used in qualifying.
Konstantin Dressler might not necessarily be a name that you're overly familiar with. He has, I'm sure, raced with Creventic in the past, but the other thing that stands out for me on his CV is that he was the 2007 VW Polo Cup champion. Now, VW Polo Cup racing must be absolute madness, especially in Germany. The ADAC Polo Cup Championship. I have no idea how many cars were in that, but I would imagine a huge amount. He only took 2 wins in the year, but had 379 points, because I imagine that championship's all about finishing 5th and 4th and 9th, where you
and not crashing.
And not crashing.
Like every one-make hot hatch formula has ever been, like Clio Cup or Fiestas or every other stuff like that.
There must have been
it's about staying out of trouble.
There must have been about 40-odd cars in that season, 2007. One name that is very present here, Sabina Schmitz, raced in that.
Oh, really?
The late, great Sabina Schmitz raced at some point. I don't know whether she did all the races, but the VW Cup Championship, we went to Hockenheim, Oschersleben, Lausitzring, Norrisring, polo racing around Norrisring.
Wow.
Zandvoort, Nürburgring, Catalonia, some good tracks that year, and Konstantin Dressler was the champion. Well, he's here this weekend with Huber, Proton Huber competition, and at the moment is the he's not.
No, he's brought the car in as well, Johnny. He's called it to his qualifying contribution. The car that has gone quicker still is Jordan Boisson. The Get Speed Team PCX Mercedes has gone quicker still. A 47.350 is Jordan's time. Behind these two at the top of the timing screens, we've got Stefan Tribodini in the Sonderlock Junior team. This is one of the cars that I thought was going to be promising here. That's the Audi R8. That's done a 1:47.479. That's how tight it is. 1:47.688. Behind them, Viper Nessa, Dominic Ang in their Mercedes, not far off, and a 47.707 from the ERC Bratislava car. Not too discount all the cars that are in this class. We've got their AM drivers in, so we're perhaps not seeing their lap times being as optimised as we're going to see in the second and third segment of this qualifying session.
Debris on track. I didn't see whether that came from Dwight Merriman's Ferrari or whether it was already sitting at the side of the circuit.
Already there. Yeah.
But the Era Motorsport Ferrari has just had to go through there as safely as possible. Is that Biondetti then? Yeah, the second bit of the Biondetti chicane, which is a chicane, but it's so fast through there. It reminds me of the Vidal chicane in its faster version. Well, we're going to be racing through that, aren't we, later in the year at the Nürburgring on the Nordschleife. That's the chicane prior to you going on to Hatzenbach and away into the country forever, it seems. But Vidal chicane is included on the Grand Prix circuit. Meanwhile, as the shadows lengthen, let's get back to Sarah.
I'm down in the pit lane with Kyle Tilley, Era Motorsport. You're usually in the car, but you're outside the car this time. Tell us about the team you've put together for this series this year.
Yeah, not driving this year in 24-hour series, unfortunately. Just too busy with the team side of things, especially like this weekend, for example. We have the Sebring 12-hour also. So we have Dwight Merriman, Jake Hill, Ryan DL returning, and then Oliver Bryant, who joined us for the 24 hours last year, is my super sub.
And how's the car looking so far this weekend? It was quite wet to begin with, I guess, earlier on in the weekend, but we've had some dry practice earlier on today.
Yeah, we're happy. The Ferrari balance-wise is great. I think we're, if you look at the onboard versus the other cars, we're missing a bit in a straight line, which just due to the BOP, but yeah, I think we're looking okay.
Well, looking forward to seeing how the guys do. I think Dwight started. Jake's going in next.
Yeah, Dwight's in the car currently, Jake in next, and then Ryan is the final qualifier. So, yeah, we'll see how it shakes out.
Well, good luck for the weekend. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Which is exactly what I mean, Johnny, when we're going to see, we're not necessarily seeing some of those cars down the order being optimised with their AM drivers at the wheel of that car. In the Era Ferrari case, we're about to see that car being optimised because we're about to plug in former British touring car champion Jake Hill, followed by Ryan DL, who has been racing sports cars for quite a while now, very experienced and indeed very fast driver, both of those drivers.
Yeah, so Dwight is certainly driving to his level. They call it a delta time, whereby if you can hit that consistently in the race, then you're doing your job very well indeed. And Dwight Merriman he's raced cars that go quicker than this at GT3 level. He's been in the LMP2 category in the past at the 24 Hours of Le Mans and other places too. Not sure about his experience around the Mugello circuit, but people like Brian DL and Jake Hill will be able to help just to chisel away at the odd hundredths of a second here and there.
Didn't they win this race 2 years ago?
Oh, well, that's really going to embarrass me if I'm asking whether he's ever been here before, and then they've already won this race. But it's possible. I mean, that would not be a new thing with me.
No.
I know? Okay. Please tell me that I haven't just overlooked that fact. Although I don't have all of the winners of the 12 Hours of Mugello right in front of me. That's a sheet to be printed overnight.
No, but they were on the podium last year.
Oh, okay.
With a third place.
Excellent. So they have very much been here before.
Kyle Tilley, who've just been speaking to, Jake Hill and Ryan DL, so they have been here before.
And with a great deal of success.
Yes, with a podium, yeah.
I'm glad you remember that.
I did remember that, Vic. I wasn't even here as well last year, so it's even better to remember that. Yeah. I probably watched it. We are inside of 2 minutes then, Johnny, for this the first segment of 3 to qualify our GT3 class cars. We've got a quick time being just posted by Stefan Trebardini for Sonderlock. That's put them at the top of the timing screens. It's the first time we've seen a 46.7. That's been almost matched by the Proton car of Konstantin Dressler. That went back out. Obviously had a bit of tyre pressure bled from the tyres, I would think. A 46.989, might as well call that a 46.9 to be honest. 47 I should say. So just inside the 46 seconds for a lap time from Dressler. That's how close we are at the front, with Ayrton Redon putting in a time of 47.327 to put the Ajit Redant Racing Mercedes in third place. And into the pits is our current 4th place car, Jordan Basson, who was at the top of the timing screens for a while in the Get Speed Team PCX Mercedes. Behind them, Vipa Nissa's Mercedes, Dominic Ang in 5th. We're going to have a full rundown of all of these, but I do expect to see some of the cars that are below these cars that we've just mentioned on the timing screens come to the fore when we start plugging in our optimized driving lineup, I should say.
Just reminding myself of winners here last year, which were the Manamari Energy by Ebby Motors gang of Fabrizio Broggi, who we're always a big favourite of an interview with. Sadly, I don't think Broggi's here.
No, they're not.
This year.
No, they're not.
He might be here, but he's not racing. Sabino Di Castro and Sergei Nicolai, who for many years raced with Ebby Motors, and that time with the Manamari Energy backing to win last year's race. Number 95 from Heart of Racing by SPS with their Mercedes AMG GT3. Now, someone who heads into Creventic racing always with a massive fan following is this gentleman with Sarah.
Ajit Kumar, welcome to the European Series, back out again. This time, well, I saw you in Dubai just a couple of months ago. A little bit cooler here, but welcome to Europe. How are you finding the circuit? Is it your second time out in Mugello?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, my second time out in the same series, Creventic series. But last year it wasn't the Porsche Cup. And this year, we, of course, in the Mercedes AMG in the GT3 class. And very much looking forward to the season ahead.
And how's the practice sessions been so far? It was a little bit wet earlier in the week. How was earlier on? I think Ayrton's in the car right now, currently in 3rd.
Thursday was bad. I mean, it was wet and cold, so we chose not to run too many laps. And that was a car that had an incident in Dubai, so we made sure that the car is all set up, ready for the race weekend. And as a team, extremely pleased. The car is handling well. Our timings are pretty, decent. We're all happy with our respective timings and look forward to a wonderful season ahead.
Well, I understand it was an engine issue in Dubai, an engine issue that caused a fire, and there's been lots of new parts put in the car, but incredible to get it ready for this series, and looking forward to seeing you out there. You sadly didn't get out for the race in Dubai, but I'm sure we'll be seeing you out tomorrow. Are you going to be taking part in any of the qualifying sessions?
No, not for today, but looking forward to the race tomorrow.
We will see you in the race tomorrow.
We're letting Ayrton, Kobe and Yannick do the qualifying, and look forward to a good race tomorrow.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having a word with us, Ajit. Looking forward to seeing you in the car tomorrow.
Thank you very much, and it's always great to be back at Mugello, a circuit with so much of history, and glad to be here.
It is a beautiful circuit here, and the sun is setting behind us. Thank you so much, Ajit.
Now, Ajit's one of the AMs in that driver lineup, and I hear you're asking me about Q1. That's got to be an AM, isn't it? Hasn't it? If you've got an AM in your lineup. Well, you can use your AM Plus. And AM Plus is Ayrton Redant, so that's why he is eligible to run in qualifying 1. And then Ajit Kumar does not need to be in Q2 or Q3 because they can fall on Yannick Redant and Kobe De Bruyke to finish it off. But Ajit's going to do his stable part, of course, in the race, and a minimum drive time as well, depending on their combination. There's a big old sheet, maybe it stretches across 2 sheets of A4. Look at your combination and then work out how many hours total each driver's got to do.
Certainly maximising their strategy for qualifying the Ajit Redant team. With the 3, no disrespect to Ajit Kumar, he is the AM driver, he's a professional actor, that's his day job, he's doing this in his spare time, this is his leisure time. So Ajit's development since we first saw him, was it 2 years ago at Dubai we saw him? Yes, I think it was. 2 Dubais ago, I should say, which was last year, 2025. And a massive, massive asset to this racing series. His fan base was otherworldly. Talk about celebrity. That gentleman there. Nick and I did the parade in Dubai outside the autodrome. And we emceed the parade on the Wednesday prior to the Dubai 24 Hours.
That'll be the biggest audience you've ever played to, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, there was just this massive huddle of crowd around the car, and which remained. The adulation that man bestows is a big, massive Collywood actor, which is the Tamil-speaking film industry, and it's great to have him here. And I was about to say, his development from the sporting sense has been massive. He's now driving a GT3 spec Mercedes. These are not easy cars to drive, and yeah, he's had his trials and tribulations, but, you know, one Gilles Villeneuve used to go over the limit to find out where the limit was, and Ajit now is a steady pair of hands, I'd like to think, and we can tell that by the way that the team is now using him strategically to maximise their qualifying position. If they continue in that vein and strategize how they use Ajit as their AM driver, then that team is very much, you know, one of the contenders for certainly a podium, an overall podium, as well as a GT3 AM podium, of course, which is a category that they are not part of. It's the Pro-Am category that the Ajit Red Ant car is in. So a Pro-Am podium is very much on. Here we go then, Johnny. It's the second qualifying session, another 15 minutes, as Jake Hill, the former British touring car driver, former British touring car champion, Jake Hill takes the Ferrari Avira. It's currently down in 13th. Dwight Merriman doing his job. Now let's see what that car is capable of. No disrespect to Dwight, he fully understands, again, strategically, how to run these qualifying sessions.
That was in 2024, by the way, that Jake was finally champion after a number of years of attempting to get there. He then did a further year trying to defend his championship in 2025. But this great opportunity moving forward into 2026 opened up before him, really, for some GT racing. I know something that he dabbled with in the past, because at the start of 2025, he was in the Dubai 24 Hours, I think. His dad was there supporting him, so I think I'm right with that. But he then did a full season in the BTCC afterwards in 2025. But got
yes, he raced 25.
He also has done a lot of historic racing as well, and he's very, very quick around circuits like Goodwood and similar. So this, I think, was always a target of his. They just needed to find the right opportunity, and as we were hearing from Kyle Tilley not too long ago with Sarah, sort of just fitted into Era Motorsport like hand in glove, and a great chance moving forward. So we'll see what he can do. This is when we would expect, though, Joe, the Era Motorsport Ferrari to come into its own, because Jake's driving it, and then we've got Ryan DL to come after that. But there are plenty of other cars and drivers out in this session ready to try and wrestle pole position, ultimate pole position, away from them.
Yeah, I expect to see a couple of those cars that are down the order. The other Get Speed car, for instance, might be in with a chance. That car hasn't come out for an outlap quite yet. Another car that stayed in the pits is the Audi of Continental Racing by Simpson. That car not coming out. Pretty much the Get Speed Team PCX car, which is 4th overall. That stayed in the pits, as has the provisional pole sitter Sontherlock Junior team. That's staying in the pits, the number 18. Not sure who is next out in that car. The ARC Bratislava car, Adam Konopka, now at the wheel of the number 44. Easy to see. The bright, luminous yellowy green of the number 44, currently 6th overall. And Konopka, one of the first cars onto a fast lap here. We've got Thomas Gosner in the MP Racing Mercedes down the order, but he's on his first flying lap, as is Jake Hill, as we've mentioned, in the Era Motorsport Ferrari. Let's see who will post the first times here coming through in qualifying 2. That's not that far away.
So the Konopka family are essentially ARC Bratislava, with Miro Konopka also part of that lineup as well. I mean, the Konopka family are vast, and Adam, one of the latest additions to it. Here is the 81 Ferrari that we were just mentioning, with Jake Hill at the wheel, as we head back to the pit lane and so on.
Yes, I'm down here with Florian Scholze. You only found out on Monday that you were going to be out in this car. How's it feeling on this track?
I like the track. Normally the Audi is a little bit difficult on this track, but the track is amazing with the fast corners, and to be in Italy, it's perfect here.
And tell us a little bit about the technicality of the track. It was made for bikes, motorcycles, so the curbs are a little bit lower. How are you finding it in the car?
I like it. I like to you use a lot of curbs here, and for me this is a perfect track also for a car.
And you're taking the third qualifying session, I believe, for this.
Yes, now. I hope the sun is more down, because it's very difficult here now for the other drivers with the sun, but I hope now it's getting better.
Well, it has been a beautiful day. We can't complain. It was pretty wet earlier on in the week, but looking forward to seeing what you do. And if you see him on the camera, it's not Alex Acco. He's just got the wrong jumper on. This is Florian Scholze.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Florian.
Thank you, Sarah. Jake Hill puts in the fastest time that we've seen all day long. A 1 minute 46.168. For a moment, had the Ferrari from Maro Motorsport at the top of the screens on average. However, it's been demoted to second by Adam Konopka, who puts in a 49.3. Add that to the 47.7, gives them an average of a 48.5. And that's the quickest average time so far. Only 3 cars have got average times for this second session. As Alex Prince for Hofer, that car appears from down the order. The first lap time was a 48.234, a 48.658. Not as quick as his teammate went in the first segment of qualifying. However, overall, the average, I should say, has got the Hofer Mercedes at the top of the timing screens as the rest of the fast lap times beginning to come through now. Here's Jake Hill on his second fast run. Let's see what sort of time he can put in, and he doesn't go as quick. He puts it, no, he does, 45.563. He goes quicker still, but still can't get that average up. So third driver in that lineup may be able to get the era Ferrari up the order, but a 45.5 is, yep, it's certainly the fastest time. We're seeing a 45.7 from Kobe De Bruyke, a 45.9 from Manuel Lauk. In the Proton Porsche, that's the orange and blue one, that's gone to the top of the time on average.
It is a great point, though, that one or two have mentioned already about the low sun. Well, the sun at this time of day, 5:45, 10 to 6, as it is now, because on Sunday, we will still be racing at this point. It's an earlier finish tomorrow, which will see the intervention kick in at 20 to 6, so 11 minutes ago tomorrow, whereas Sunday's race continues till 6:30. And I'm sure some of the teams will be thinking, right, well, I mean, automatically you'd put a gun driver in the closing stages of a race, I would have thought. But it's got to be somebody who can deal with that sun, which is going lower potentially than the sunscreen visor and blinding the drivers in certain crucial bits. Might even be into the Arrabbiata corners, which are a challenge even in the daylight when you haven't got a low sun to worry about.
That's a good point, and it's something that they'll be making a note of, just where the sun is. What I can add into you, I don't think the setting sun's going to be a problem, Johnny. We've got a weather forecast that says a chance of showers going into the final stages of this race on Sunday afternoon. A little bit of a forecast. Now, that might change. The forecast's changing all the time, but at the moment we've got cloud cover and intermittent showers that might just break this race up at a crucial time. Makes things very exciting. We are indeed in the entertainment business.
True.
We're not running a car here, so we are, as much as Sarah, our pit lane reporter, will have to don a raincoat, it will add a little bit of complexity to the end of this race going forward, thinking about Sunday already.
All I'll say is it depends which weather forecast you look at, because yours seemed pretty bleak in that it was 30 or even 40% chance of rain.
52% towards 4 o'clock.
Whereas the highest I can get it on mine is at 1 o'clock, where it's 21% chance of rain, but there is a lot of cloud cover. So
and then the percentage goes down across towards the race finish.
Yes, 2 o'clock is 6%, 3 o'clock 6%.
This is why I love weather forecasting apps.
I know.
Just rubbish.
Every single one.
They're just rubbish.
Every single one says a different thing. So yeah, it's whatever you want to believe, I suppose. But that is the unpredictable nature of any sport held outdoors. And thankfully, unless it gets completely stupid and we have a full-on thunderstorm, motor racing, certainly European-style motor racing, continues through the rain, which I know to new people to motor racing, Grand Prix racing, things like that, they're like, oh, they don't just stop when it starts to have a shower. No, that's when it gets properly interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the tactic, isn't it? And thankfully the teams have had some sort of idea of how the cars will behave in the wet. They had a practice day, I think, on yesterday. Was it yesterday or Wednesday it was raining? Did Ajit come out say? It doesn't matter. They've had running and they've run.
He said it was cold and wet. He said it was cold and wet on Wednesday, I think.
Right, Wednesday.
And there might have been a little bit of rain yesterday as well on Thursday. But yeah, everyone expecting when you come to Italy for it to be not swelteringly hot in March, but certainly warmer than other parts of Europe. Jake's done the business, by the way, in the era motorsport Ferrari, and he's out nice and early, considering we've still got 5.5 minutes to go on the clock.
He's still got the quickest time that we've seen all day, 45.5. So you might want to congratulate him, Sarah. I think I heard Sarah's down there with Jake, just about to get out of his helmet now, just relaying the information to his teammate Ryan DL. Just shout up, Sarah, when you've got Jake with his helmet off and you can chat to him. But he'd be handing over the Ferrari 296 of Maro Motorsport to Ryan DL. He's got the car a little bit further up the timing screen, 11th overall. And he will be... We can see the pace. This is what I mean about Dwight Merriman is the AM driver in that car, and he's going to be part of this race. So using that tactically, as Elliot Earhart goes to the top of the timing screen on average with the quickest time we've seen. He's just beaten Jake's time with a 45.4.
You're actually, I don't know how far down Ben Pack is, but Ben's gone even faster than those two. He's done a 1:44.
Just seeing that now. He's second overall now, Johnny.
Yeah, so Ben, second overall, when you combine the time.
With the average time,
Ben's quickest in this session now, and therefore quickest that we've seen so far in the GT3. Sarah, though, has got Jack.
When you came in, you were the fastest time of the day, but I think you've just been pipped from what's in my ear. But congratulations, incredible effort.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, over the moon. You know, we had such a good year last year with Maro Motorsport and the Ferrari. It was a completely new program, and we've come again this year, revitalised, ready to go again, and yeah, we're off to a good start. You know, the car's feeling good, team's doing a great job. I think Benjamin Pack's just got me, unfortunately, and fair play, it's a great time, but still, I'm very happy with my performance and everything we've achieved. So yeah, on to the race.
And you're a British touring car champion for 2024, but you're focusing on GT racing this year and the Creventic series. Tell us more about that decision.
Yeah, this is my first full year away from British touring cars. You know, I've spent 10 years in that series, and obviously you're very, very proud to have won it and been a top fighter in that series for a long time. But you know, the time's just come for me to try something different for a while, and I'll always love touring cars, but I must admit I'm really enjoying my time in GTs, and hopefully we're going to go on to do bigger and better things with this team as we go forward.
And the Mugello circuit, are there any parts of it that have surprised you, or that you're kind of going to go away and work on ahead of the race tomorrow?
Not surprised me, really. I'm pretty happy with it. I just love driving this circuit. You know, it's such a beautiful venue, beautiful track to drive. You know, we just don't have this sort of flowy, nice circuit in the UK. So, yeah, it's a real privilege to drive this circuit, and in a Ferrari, of course, in the home of Italy. So, yeah, over the moon. But tomorrow we'll just go for it. I think we've got a strong race car. So, yeah, see where we end up.
Last couple of words, you were speaking to your teammate there. What was the debrief?
Yeah, I mean, just, well done, I think. Yeah, that was the debrief. I think we're all happy with that. It's the fastest the car's gone round here. I beat my qualifying time from last year by like 9/10, so it's quite an achievement, both in myself and the car's performance. So, yeah, overall just very happy, and like I say, fair play to Benjamin, because that's an amazing time.
Well, smiles all round and well deserved. Congratulations. We'll look forward to seeing you out there on the grid tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Ben Pack's quicker. We didn't want to add in that Elliot Earhart's also gone marginally quicker than Jake's time. Now, that's only by a 1/10 or so. But these guys, Ben Pack and Elliot, have been driving these cars for far longer than Jake has, and also at this Mugello circuit. So they have a bit of track knowledge as well that he's still learning.
I just want to say the Sonderlock Junior team was my gamble on pole sitter at the moment at the top of the timing sheets, and I think we've got one Pierre Caffer to plug into that number 18 Audi yet, as that car is in the pits. Earhart has brought the car in. The Sonderlock Junior team lies second on average. 45.401 was a very, very quick time for that car. Benjamin Pack, we've talked about a 44.9, the one and only time we've seen a car dip into the 44s. Currently second, Manuel Lauk. He has just gone into fueling. That's the Proton competition. The orange and blue Porsche lies third. In fact, I think we've got every car now, Johnny, apart from Benjamin Pack in the Get Speed Mercedes. We've got Vincent Kolb out there in the Herbeth Porsche. He's still out and circulating, and then a couple of cars at the bottom of the timing screens. Adam Osaika in the Get Speed, the other Get Speed Mercedes, and Thomas Gosner in the MP car. They are the only four cars that are currently still out there circulating. 30 seconds on the clock, so we are about to see the checkered flag fly as we've got the number 269. Is that the two? It is the 269, and that is the Vincent Kolb Herbeth car. The distinctive new livery that's a new livery, I would think, for 2026, with the white stripes from the front of the wings of the car going down the side. We're getting a little bit in the gravel there. Currently showing 11th overall, and it will be checkered flag time for Vincent when he next comes by. If he remains out, of course, he might indeed be on an in lap, but I just want to see if he posts what colour his sector time is when we see him come through.
You think we're going to get a late
a late charge?
Kolb.
Yeah, I mean, the air's thicker, the engines will be liking the cooler air, slightly cooler air. It's not like we've had a hot day, to be honest. It's been pretty much a similar sort of ambient between, I think it's dropping to about 7 degrees now, so that's pretty chilly. That is pretty cold here in Mugello. We haven't gone green, we haven't gone purple in sector 2. We've gone grey, light grey, which means that Vincent Kolb is not going to break any records. Let's go down to Saru. I think
she was just confirming, I think,
right, okay,
it is getting pretty chilly now that we've lost the sun.
Yeah, weather report from Sarah. Do you need you wish you brought your scarf, you were mentioning, Sarah?
See if I can get them of the third session of qualifying.
Yeah, that would be great. Benjamin Pack, the quickest driver here this weekend so far. First time we've seen these cars in a competitive form, of course. We've had plenty of practice time, plenty of lapping going on with these cars who will be here to compete in the 12 hours of Mugello. But the first time we've seen under competitive conditions, and so far Benjamin Pack is the driver to go and post the quickest lap time that we've seen. A 44, what that is, a 1 minute 44.934. As the field continue then, the checkered flag is out. Vincent Kolb was the one and only car to actually see the checkered flag. Everybody else was tucked up nice and firmly in the pit lane, having completed their second qualifying segment. One more to go.
He still did a personal best, though, on that final tour. A 147.685 is the quickest we've seen that Porsche go, number 269, with a 147.685.
Well, that didn't show up on the sector timing.
I'm noticing your timing screen hasn't got that last column in the frame. So if you zoom out very slightly, you'll see the last lap, and the green time's up and down the order. So I'm impressed with how much speed was being shown late on. So, for instance, Elia Earhart's 145.401 was his last lap of the session and his best. Jake Hill did his best lap and then parked it the very next time around. Same goes for Manuel Lauk for Proton Competition, Melvin Moe for Viper Nizza Racing, and Vasily Vladikin in his Continental Racing by Simpson Motorsport car. Nobody could beat Ben Pack, but then, I mean, once you discount the sort of half-second gap between Pack and Elia Earhart, Elia did 145.4, Jake Hill 145.5, 145.7 for Kobe De Bruyke, 145.7 for Manuel Lauk, 145 point, I know they were into the 146s. So you've got a sort of group of cars that could be potentially very close in tomorrow's race if they're all in their cars together.
Yeah.
And then there's this group that have all posted 146s with just tenths of seconds between them as well. So real consistency, and we've still got one more session to look forward to, but that'll be after we hear from Sarah Essa.
Fast, it's 1:4:49. Only driver to go with a 1:44 so far. Tell us where you think you were finding those little edges.
Yeah, we had a good car the whole weekend, and actually I did a very good lap, so I'm super happy. Thank you for the team. First time with this team, so I'm quite happy, and thank you to everyone. And now we have a long race in front of us, and now Maro finished the job in Q3.
And what have you said to him in terms of areas to gain more time, if that's possible?
Yeah, it is possible. Now I think he knows his job. I just said how the balance of the car was, and I leave it to him. So now full focus and full trust on him.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We'll be looking out to see what happens in the third qualifying session.
So Ben was quickest in qualifying 2 in isolation in the number 28 Get Speed Team PCX Racing Mercedes. But when you group the 2 times that we've had together so far, so the aggregate time as it stands, that favours Santilok Junior Team with their number 18 Audi R8 LMS. That's a 146.4 in qualifying 1 and a 145.4 from Elia Earhart, and you add them together, divide by 2, you get a 146.9, and there's actually an aggregate gap of just 0.2 of a second.
You mean a 145.9?
What did I say? 144?
46. You said a 46.
Well, no, it's a 145.9 and then a 146.1. I might have combined the times somehow. But the gap on the averages is less than 0.2 of a second.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I thought you meant the 2 qualifying laps from the Sonderlock car. You're comparing the Get Speed car, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes, that bodes very well for tomorrow's
Doesn't
race.
it just?
Yeah.
So 145.950 and a 146.142. So that is I do mean less than 0.2 of a second between those on the current averages. But we have one more lap to add to that, remember, and that will be produced in the next 15 minutes by this car maybe, or by one of the others about to enter the session. Let's give you an idea of who will be driving the ARC Bratislava Lamborghini and all of the other cars about to begin their final session. Then Gerhard Terrassa is in the Lamborghini, number 44. Douglas Koo drives the Viper-Nizza Racing Mercedes, and Antonio Sainero for E2P Racing. But everybody else keeping their powder dry and yet to join this third and final session. David Gosner has just got behind the wheel of the MP Racing Mercedes, number 58 for the Gosner family. And they are pretty much permanent entries at the Mugello 12 Hours. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that they've done every single one of these races so far. So real enthusiasts, particularly for the Italian round of the 24H series, as the shadows continue to lengthen. So now you've got cars that are nice and light on fuel. They've got a brand new set of Michelin tyres, but the grip might be just ebbing away slightly, although generally the heat of the track takes a bit of time to dissipate compared to the ambient temperature. So I'm sure it's still nice, hot, sticky road surface that you can put these brand new tyres to good use.
A team that gets straight on with it, ARC Bratislava. We've seen that car come out first pretty much for all 3 of these qualifying segments. The driver, Gerhard Terrassa, at the wheel of the Lamborghini now, and now he gets on it. Look at how much curb he used there. Car bouncing around on the slight bumps here. It's a good surface. Let's head down to Sarah, though, who's in the pits with someone.
Currently 2/10 ahead on aggregate times. Do you think Pierre can do it in the third qualifying session?
Yes, for sure. With the experience of Pierre, I have no doubt he can do it. Saint-Eloque really make a really great job. The car is so nice to drive. Also now it's a bit colder tonight, and the grip is amazing. I didn't expect to do that lap time, and also the lap time they did after me with Elia, and also the 44.9 was not expected. But we have a lot of fun. The track is so nice here. Really challenging, really fast, long corner. So I'm really happy to be there and with that team, because the car is mega.
And it's also super close, which makes it for really good racing for tomorrow.
Yeah, every time I drove in the 24-hour series, every time we are really close. We have 3-4 cars battling each other in Pro-Am. It was the case also in Barcelona last year. So I know we have some very good competitors, and I'm really excited to do that race, because in 12 hours it can happen a lot of things. And we know we have to do our best every time in every driver change also to be able to gain some second to expect the victory.
Well, congratulations for your stint in the car, and looking forward to seeing what Pierre can do. I think there must be around 12 minutes left of qualifying.
Yes, still now the last part to expect the pole position. We hope we can do it, but I'm sure Pierre has everything in his hand to do the pole position now.
Well, I can't see a timing screen, but I'm sure Joe and Johnny will be able to confirm how much longer we have left in qualifying.
Yeah, you're not far away, Sarah. 10.5 minutes of qualifying remaining. We've still got no sign of the Sonderlock Audi, Johnny.
That, by the way, was Stefan Tribordini. You and I were like, is it Stefan Tribordini? But we weren't quite sure. I was wanting to confirm from a headshot, but that's definitely Stefan. As Sarah said at the start of the interview, you're quite all right, Sarah. It's just that Joe and I had tuned out briefly. It's been quite a long day, even though this is the shortest day.
We're having a private conversation and missed the first part of that.
We were.
But we were glued to our screens.
I'm saying, is that Elliot Earhart without his glasses? But it's not. It's Stefan Tribordini, who's done a cracking job to this point, and gave us some insight into Santilot Racing. But you are concerned by their absence.
No, I'm not. He's out now. Pierre Caffer is out of the pits. He soaked up 5 minutes. He doesn't need 15 minutes.
He's Pierre Caffer
to qualify. He's Pierre Caffer after all. We'll keep an eye on the number 18. That's dropped down the order purely because Pierre Caffer has yet to set a representative time in this third and final qualifying segment. Antonio Seniero has put the E2P Racing Aston Martin on the top of the timing screen on average. A 1:48.084 is the average time, with a 1:45.8 from Saniero. He's now been pipped by that car there, the Proton Competition Porsche, from Dennis Marshall, who puts a 1:45.8 in, gives this car a 46.2, which is a considerable gap on average at the front of the screen, at the front of the timing screen, at the top of the timing screen. I'll get my words right in a minute. Also out there, Haas RT, their Audi is third on average, but we've still got Maro Engel to come through. We've still got Yannick Redon, we've got Alfred Renauer, and we've got my favourite for pole position, Pierre Caffer, in the Sonderlock Audi to come through. The number 28 is the Maro Engel car, the Get Speed Team PCX, another favourite, or another contender I should say, for the front row and indeed pole position. And Maro Engel, we know all about Maro Engel's CV. He's been around sports car racing and indeed been racing these Mercedes AMG GTs for some time now, as he comes through the final turn, and will be he's already on his outlap. This will be his first lap time using all of the curb and more, all of the track and more. Gets the car on the curb. Let's see where Maro Engel disappears up the order. Maro Engel goes to the top of the order with a lap time of a 44.681, puts that car on the provisional pole with an average lap time of 1:45.655 after 3 qualifying sessions and 3 qualifying laps.
And we were waxing lyrical about Benjamin Pack's time in the same car as Maro Engel, while Maro's just worked his way to finding another 2 and a bit tenths of a second over Ben Pack's very impressive time. So now deep into the 1:44s for the German, and easily the quickest time that we've had all weekend. However, somebody else has just jumped into the 1:44s. That's Patrick Liddy, which is very easily missed because the car is down in 10th position for Get Speed Team JR286, but that's a Get Speed 1-2 in this session alone. Therefore, Patrick Liddy could be, well, somebody to definitely look out for in the race, because if Maro and Patrick are in the cars at the same time, that would be a little internecine battle for Get Speed. They won't want them taking chunks out of one another, but could they even be on the lead lap in the closing, I don't know, hour on Sunday evening? Because that would be a feast of action, certainly. 1:45 flat for Dennis Marshall in his Proton Competition Porsche to be third in this session and second in the aggregate time. So definitely Proton Competition making strides as well with their Porsche.
Pierre Caffer only seconds away from posting a time. It's not quite quick enough to put the car on the provisional pole. He puts in a 1 minute 45.341 in the Sonolog Junior Team Audi. It's put him second. He's sharing the front row at the moment provisionally with Maro Engel, two absolute sports car legends there currently on our provisional front row. And Pierre Caffer will have to find extra speed. He's a full second off Maro Engel's time, so he's got a second to find to get anywhere near that get speed Mercedes as Maro Engel continues.
Yeah, the other thing is that Pierre's not faster than Dennis Marshall either in the Porsche. So Dennis Marshall, I think, has made quite a bit of ground for Proton Competition to bring the 73 Porsche up to third position. But Santilok already had enough in the bank from Q1 and Q2 to be high enough second and therefore toying with a front row. But a pole position that they had after 2 qualifying sessions, they've now had to kiss goodbye to that because of Maro Engel's absolutely blistering lap, the 1:44. He's got even faster. He's just done a 1:44.3. It's a 3.90, so a kind of top-end 0.3, but nevertheless, you know, we were going, God, hasn't Ben Pack done well to break the 1:45? We're almost breaking the 1:44s here now with Maro Engel at the wheel.
Almost in the 43s, Johnny, we're 4/10 away. Pierre Caffer has a bit of traffic, so not the optimum line into the final turn there. That's going to cost him lap time. He was on a very, very quick lap time indeed. As he comes out of the final turn, he will cross the line. Pierre Caffer will put in his, and that has not gone as quick. So he stays where he is, currently second. The lap time there was just, and that was compromised, wasn't it? Absolutely massively compromised. A 1:45.529, not as quick as his previous lap. Whether or not there's time now, Johnny, whether or not there's time in that set of tyres, as we've got a little bit of an off-track excursion here for the Audi. I think that's the Continental Racing Audi of Florian Schultz, who went absolutely off-track there, coming out of the S's there, turns 2 and 3. As the Douglas Koo on board now with Douglas Koo and the number 65. And that car is the Vipa Nissa Mercedes, currently in 15th place. As the rest of the field then, with 3.5 minutes remaining, we've got the rest of this GT3 field. We've already got Patrick Liddy calling it a day, Dennis Marshall calling it a day, and off the track and into the fueling area. They will then make their way down to their pit garage. At the moment, though, Johnny, we've still got that lap time of a 44.390. That's the quickest time we've seen all weekend from Maro Engel. And whether or not anyone has the tools in their toolbox to put in a lap time quicker than that is very, very doubtful. It'll be an absolute and amazing job for anybody to be able to do that, as Pierre Caffer due across the line now. And he hasn't, has he? No, he has not. According to my timing screen, Pierre Caffer still yet to come through.
Has he gone for the pits? Because
I think he might have.
No, he might have just backed off because he was expected to cross the line a long time before he actually appeared. So that may have been a slower lap just to buy himself a bit of space. I'm also comparing the pole position time, the provisional pole for 2026, with last year's pole position. And admittedly, it was a GT3 Pro-Am car that was on pole last year, the CCC Kessel Racing entry, but that was a 1:47. So 1:47.0 was last year's pole. We're a 2.5 clear. On the averages, don't forget, a 2.5 better off than we were about 12 months ago. Here's Sarah again in the pits. 2 minutes to go, by the way, Sarah.
Yeah, but I haven't got anyone yet. I was heading down to garage 19 to see the Proton Hoover competition, who I think are currently in provisional third. But give me just 2 minutes. That wasn't me calling you, but I will head down and see if I can get a chat with one of their drivers. There's a lot of cars coming into the pits, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of them think, well, we've used so much of the tyre now and we need there to be enough rubber on it to be good for the race, because remember, every single set of tyres used in the qualifying sessions, you get 3 sets, 1 for each session, and they all have to be used in the race. But definitely the mood is high down at Get Speed. Maro Engel has certainly done the business there with a 1:44.390, well clear of the majority of the rest of the field. There were only 2 other drivers that got into the 144s. Patrick Liddy in the sister Get Speed Mercedes, that's the JR286 version, and Ben Pack in Mauro's car also did a 1:44. We shouldn't be surprised. You know, sort of have to cease to be amazed by this guy these days, because he's reached a magic age in recent years. He's now north of 40, but lost none of his pace.
Is he really? That
Maro
makes me feel even much older than I actually am.
Let me just check that now. He was 40 last August. Yeah.
I think with I mean, we're 30 seconds away from a checkered flag, and the Get Speed Team PCX Racing garage there, full of congratulations. Maro Engel absolutely doing the job you would expect Maro Engel to do. Go out and lap as quick as anybody can here at Mugello, and he's put that car on average with his other 2 teammates who put in, well, it went out the first qualifying segment, it did a 1:47.350. We then saw a 1:44.934 and then a 1:44.390 from Maro himself. What an absolutely outstanding lap time from that car. And with that kind of driver setup, Johnny, strategically, they are looking very strong over 12 hours.
So hang on 2 seconds, not yet.
Well, Maro's a busy boy, so he's wanting to chat to his engineer, no doubt, and have a quick debrief, maybe have a quick word with Ben Pack as well to see how their lap times compared. And Maro Engel's got the upper hand for this period, shall we say, before Ben can offer some sort of a response when he gets into his stints in the race. But got to remember that Benjamin Pack is the one that could yet find a bit more time. He's silver, he's only 21, and is the future potentially of where that team is going at Get Speed. So Sarah now managing to grab Maro.
Maro, you managed to close that out. Benjamin put in an incredible time, and then you came through with a 44.3, feeling very comfortable in the car and on the track.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you know, big credit to these guys. Jordan and Ben did a great job in qualifying. The team gave us a great car, and my word, I mean, this track on a new tire and low fuel is a lot of fun. So really enjoyed that, and it's great for us to start tomorrow from pole position. So happy about that. Obviously, we know it's a long race, so it doesn't mean much for the race, but obviously, you know, for today, it's a good result.
Well, bringing in the rest of the team, great camaraderie down here. Of course, a very good reason to have big smiles on your face. What are you going to do this evening in terms of getting ready for tomorrow?
We expected to do a great dinner with the team. So yeah, we have a happy moment.
Well, celebrating early, I guess. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Weather's been incredible today. Forecast is looking pretty good for tomorrow. And if you can get a combination of these great lap times, it's going to put you in a great place. But as you said, 12 hours is quite a long time. Anything that you think you're going to work on in terms of with the car, or in terms of, you know, cutting down times for tomorrow?
Yeah, obviously it's a long race, 12 hours split in 2, so the strategy needs to be also good. So we drivers have to be ready. Yeah, I think we have a good car, we have great teammates, we have a good team, so we'll push forward and hope to bring a big trophy home.
Well, hopefully. It is a very big trophy, isn't it? We got a glimpse of it earlier on in the driver's briefing. Well, thank you so much. Go and enjoy the rest of the celebrations. We're putting us up on pole. Still a lot more work to do tomorrow, but we'll see you back here bright and early.
Patrick Charlet, Jordan Boisson, Ben Pack and Maro Engel, who we heard from first of all. And when you group 3 of those drivers' times together to create an average, to create an aggregate, you get a 1:45.558, which is a second and a half quicker than the pole position here at the same event in 2025. So strides have been made. What I don't know is whether the Michelin compound has changed a little bit. But of course, the new tyres that weren't permitted last year and are now at the start of every session will have made a huge difference. And as Maro made the point, this track on low fuel and brand new tyre is a lot of fun, I think he said. Second fastest then, and giving it their all, were Santilok junior team. Pierre Caffer just ran out of opportunity to whittle away that time. A 1:45.7 ran the Get Speed team very close though. And then Proton Competitions Porsche, Dennis Marshall in for the final session, will start from third position. The 93 car of Ajit Red Ant Racing with their Mercedes, great result from them. Ajit Kumar not part of the qualifying squad, but he will be doing many hours tomorrow in the number 93 car, and it'll be the outside of the second row for them. The third row, fifth and sixth positions for 91 Herbert Motorsports Porsche and the ARC Bratislava Lamborghini Huracan that Gerhard Terrassa drove in the final stages, car number 44. Then Torsten Kratz for Hoffa Racing was in for Q3 in the number 11 Mercedes for Hoffa Racing. Then the Porsche, the second offering from Herbert Motorsport. Robert Renauer and Alfred Renauer are potentially split then across two different cars, unless they're labelled, unless they're named against two separate cars, of course, as well. I'll check that overnight. 9th and 10th places for Ryan DL and Peter Gulinks for Era Motorsport and Haas RT, respectively. So that's the Ferrari 296, the only Ferrari in the GT3 field, and the number 21 Audi. Ahead of the 90 car for E2P Racing. For a time, that Spanish-entered Aston Martin Vantage was flirting with a top 4 result. I think that was after Q2, but they were in and around it, and then sadly dropped outside of the top 10 with their number 90 car, but could do something special in the race. Ahead of the 296 Get Speed team car, which was very fast in the hands of Patrick Liddy. He was second by only a small margin to Maro Engel in Q3 in isolation. Then the Continental Racing Audi R8, the Continental Racing by Simpson Motorsport, number 69 car 13th. 14th position for Viper Nizza Racing's Mercedes, and it's another AMG GT3 Evo for MP Racing and the Gosner family. So that is the combined results for the GT3 element of the field. Remember, we had all the other cars in the many other categories that will be competing this weekend in the first round of qualifying. So we know a little bit more now about cars to look out for, but the point has been made by several people already. Qualifying is one thing, a 12-hour race split across 2 days, very much another. But a beautiful day here at Mugello, maybe a bit chilly at the start and the end of it, and particularly now that the sun has set. But remember, we'll be racing to, well, just 4 minutes from now, actually, till 6:30 this evening. And terrific action out on the track for the GT3s, including a little bit of debris at the Biondetti chicane, which drivers needed to be mindful of. Ajit Kumar driving will be driving tomorrow away from the qualifying session, but his teammates did a splendid job to take that Mercedes to 4th place. All about buying yourself some track space as the high fives began for Jake Hill after a very good time for him in qualifying 2. But it was about waiting to see what was the secret weapon for some of their teams that they had up their sleeve. And Maro Engel for Get Speed was top of the list in the number 28 car. He put in a 1:44.390 to be way ahead of everybody else and to take pole position for Get Speed here at Mugello Circuit. So we will begin our coverage tomorrow, Saturday, for a 5.5-hour stint to kick off this year's Mugello 12 hours. The official start time will be 12:10. We'll be on air nice and early to give you the full build-up. 10 to 12 local time for the start of our coverage, and then we will have a full grid walk courtesy of Sara Essa, the national anthem, as you would expect in Italy, and all the bells and whistles before the latest edition of the 12 Hours of Mugello. But that will only deal with 5.5 hours. The cars are then parked. They have a good night's rest, and we race again for 6.5 hours on Sunday. I hope you've got plenty of energy in the banks, and don't forget about our support race categories as well throughout the weekend, from the Prototype Cup Europe, the Radical Cup Europe, and TCR Europe as well. We've got all bases covered. My thanks to Sara Essa bringing you the stories from the pit lane, to Joe Bradley to my right. And from me, Johnny Palmer, we hope you wish you a very happy Friday evening and come back nice and refreshed for the Mugello 12 hours tomorrow morning. Bye for now.